Whirlwind Plus got even better. Go to whirlwindgolf.com, click on Play Whirlwind Events and Drawings, and you'll already see how great Whirlwind Plus is. And now you can play Monday through Thursday up until September 1st and give your great Whirlwind Plus rate to your entire foursome. That means if the highest price tee time that day is $89 and the lowest price is $59, all members of your foursome only pay the $59 rate. Go to whirlwindgolf.com and let your whole foursome feel the wind.
Thanks for listening, Unplugged Army. I'm Louis Unga, General Manager at Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass. We're proud to present Doug Franz Unplugged.
Form an offense.
Form an offense.
4 minutes.
Form an offense. Form an offense.
Everything you need to know in sports that affects Maricopa County, the state of Arizona, and the world, you get in 4 minutes. We start things off in downtown Pittsburgh. The Diamondbacks won in our nation's capital on Friday night, and they haven't won since. Diamondbacks a loser last night in Pittsburgh, 3-2 in 10 innings. Merrill Kelly went 5 2/3. He did not give up an earned run, but his error led to an unearned run. Taylor Clark was the losing pitcher because of the ridiculous Manfred Man scoring from second base on a walk-off base hit in the bottom of the 10th. Manager Torey Lovello.
I thought we fought as hard as we could, and the standings were kind of laying on top of one another, so there's going to be no gimmies in this game. We got to go out, continue to play hard, and continue to fight. And I thought our guys did that. We just didn't execute at some critical moments.
Diamondbacks are now tied with the Pirates for the final spot in the wild card. Cardinals and Nationals are tied 1 game behind them. San Diego's a game and a half back, and the Marlins, after their 9th inning walk-off, are 2 back. Up next, game 2 of the 3-game series in Pittsburgh. Brandon Pfaadt goes for the D-backs. He's 5-1 with a 4.43 ERA. Bubba Chandler goes for Pittsburgh. He's 3-8, 4.47 ERA. Chandler will throw the first pitch this afternoon at 3:40. Somehow, it took the Arizona Cardinals 5 months to make Jacoby Brissett the 26th highest-paid quarterback in the NFL. Head coach, Mike LaFleur.
Yeah, it's good. Happy for him. Happy for our team. And like we said, I mean, it was productive, so for it to get done now, sooner rather than later, is good.
The head coach also said that Brissett will run with the ones at the beginning of training camp. He would not call it a quarterback competition, but says the goal is for him to retain the job going into the first week. Today is the first padded practice. No idea if Mike LaFleur is going to run an actual physical training camp. We'll find out those answers today. Practice in Glendale, open to the public, 4 o'clock. Since I was gone yesterday, I'll tell you about the weekend today. Rising ended up in a 0-0 draw against Hartford Athletic. That dropped Phoenix into a 3-way tie for 9th place with Oakland and Las Vegas. Key to being in 9th place is there are only 8 playoff spots. One of those teams they're tied with, Vegas, is hosting them this weekend. If you're a hardcore sports fan of Arizona teams, maybe go to Vegas for the weekend. Saturday night, the Rising take on Vegas. And then Sunday afternoon, it's the Rattlers' turn. The IFL regular season is over. Rattlers finished in 3rd place, therefore they have to travel to go to the 2 seed. The 2 seed is the Vegas Nighthawks. Arizona takes on Vegas in Nevada Sunday afternoon in the first round of the playoffs, 2:30. And since I was off yesterday, I didn't get to tell you that Team Spoon won 129-122 over Team Coop. The All-Star break continues in the WNBA. Team Mercury are in action Wednesday night. And in golf over the weekend, Jackson Koiven won the PGA Tour event at the 3M Open in Minneapolis with a 3-shot win over Scottie Scheffler. The Rocket Classic in Detroit is up next for the men. The LPGA ISPS Hand to Scottish Open was won by Jenny Shin with a 9-under. Now the women head to the final major of the year, the AIG Women's Open in Lancashire, England. And finally, well, this really stinks if you had a ticket to the event, but the Orange County Fair in Middleton, New York has a circus in town. But last Friday night, the circus had to be canceled. Meet Ana Daza Tavera and her partner Edwin Cuervo Rangel, who do a crossbow sharpshooting act. Well, Friday night there was a problem. Remember how I called it a sharpshooting act? Yeah, she wasn't very sharp. She shot him. Now, normally I don't laugh when somebody gets shot, but the fact that they're a crossbow sharpshooting act, and poor Edwin was holding up a foam target, and Anna got him in the neck. Now, normally when you get shot by a crossbow in the neck, it would not be something hilarious for us to bring up during and finally. However, Benjamin Jackson, the ringmaster, said that Cuervo Rangel was, quote, luckily shot on the side of his neck in a spot with mostly soft tissue, no major blood vessels, no blood leaking out, and there's a little hole around there where the arrow went in, kind of like getting your ear pierced. Oh my gosh, I can't believe he's so nonchalant about it. And then he says he's going to need some time to heal before resuming performing. How could you be so sure he's going to be resuming performing? Is anyone else listening to this? His sharpshooting partner shot him in the neck. Why would you give her another chance? According to the Associated Press, the circus returned to its regular schedule of 3 shows a day on Saturday, minus the crossbow act. Well, of course it was minus the crossbow act. And hey, ringmaster, why were you such a slacker? If she's still healthy, why don't you hold the foam target? Heck, why not bring volunteers from the crowd? Personally, I think that would have been fantastic. As soon as old Edwin was carted off, the ringmaster could have looked at the crowd and said, all right, step right up for a chance to hold the exciting foam finger.
The reason why I always say that Bell's is not your typical country bar with mediocre bar food is because our kitchen is truly a scratch kitchen. From every single sauce that we make, to every dish, to the beef that we have come in, to the seafood that we have brought in each day, every single dish is handcrafted. We don't have microwaves, so you're tasting that quality the minute that it hits the table.
Bell's Nashville Kitchen on Main Street in Old Town Scottsdale.
You found home, down home.
Unplugged Army, meet 13-time world pizza champion, Tony Gimignani.
Come to Slice House for great slices. It's all about family here. You could be on your first date. You could be single, a single dad, whomever, anyone, everyone. We have great outside seating, a lot of different styles to pick from. Detroit, Sicilian, Grandma, New York. We even have gluten-free and vegan options and fresh pasta and cannolis. So come here, check it out.
Slice House is in Gilbert at Pecos and Val Vista, near Santan Ford. Hey, respect the craft.
Thank you.
I'll never forget when intern McKenna, she was only 14 years old, and she says, there are 3 things I hate: injustice, inefficiency, and losing. Man, I've always loved that quote, but after my day yesterday, I hate something more than that. Failure. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever it is that you have decided to make Doug Franz Unplugged a part of your day, my family greatly appreciates it. My name is Doug Franz, and you have found the only podcast in the world totally devoted to the coverage of the 4 major sports franchises of one great American city that drops on your phone each and every weekday morning when the host isn't mentally weak. Brothers Rising work. Oh my gosh. So frustrated with myself. This is Doug Franz Unplugged, presented by Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass. How are you? So, big time, wonderful outpouring of support from you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm just so frustrated with myself in not handling the situation better than I did. And only have me to blame because, we all fail in life. It drives me nuts when you make the same mistake more than once. And this is probably the 3rd time in the 5 years we've been doing this. Well, actually 6 now. Yeah. In the 6 years we've been doing this, I made the same mistake again. And I basically tried to play hero ball and it just crushed me. So left on Friday, I got about 45 minutes of sleep. I finished the Beer Friday show, thanks to 100 Mile Brewing Company. And got it up before 6 o'clock, got all my tweets and everything done in about 10 or 15 minutes. And then I went to bed a little earlier than that. I got to bed at 6, but fell asleep at about 6:15, but then got up at 7 and went to the airport. Evil arch rival Zach, nice enough to drive me to the airport. And then I got a flight to Cincinnati, and my parents picked me up. And so that I had a great dinner at their house, and then texted a high school buddy and went and had a couple bad ones, which is a famous margarita at a Mexican restaurant in Dayton. And then went to bed and got up Saturday, slept all the way until it was time to get ready for the wedding, and went to my cousin's wedding in Muncie, Indiana. My father was a trooper, drove the 2.5 hours to Muncie, sat through the whole mass, sat through the dinner portion of the reception, and then right when the dancing started, boom, we were out, and we drove the 2.5 hours back to my parents' hometown, or my hometown, my parents' house, my hometown, and just had a wonderful time with family. I just feel so blessed to have the family that I have, and that side of the family, my father's side of the family, we just love being together. We laugh all the time. All it is laughing all the time. So had a great trip Saturday. Then comes Sunday. First of all, Mass is 5 minutes late. Not really the end of the world, but when you've got a flight on Sunday, that's a little annoying. And then there's a baptism for that Mass. So that adds extra time. And then the priest got a little rattled at the end and was kind of dragging it out a little bit. Mass ended up taking for an hour and a half. Now, on the one hand, it's like, hey, is Jesus not important enough to spend an extra 30 minutes? I get it. Yes. But can you at least tell me when I'm planning out which Mass to go to? Let me know you're going to be late, you're going to have a baptism, and you're going to yap, and you're going to forget things. So I know, hey, this Mass is going to be too long. I'll take an earlier flight, and I'll go to Mass when I get home Sunday night. The joy of being Catholic is we fit Jesus into our own schedule. You want to go Saturday night? You want to go Sunday morning? You want to go Sunday afternoon? You want to go Sunday night? You figure it out. Well, yes, I converted for the jokes. So go through that. Not a big deal. And then we went to my favorite Dayton pizza place, a place called Marion's, and my parents bought me pizza. So that was just wonderful. I have my dad's lasagna on Friday night, Marion's on Sunday. I'm a pretty happy, and an Elsa's bad wine. It was a pretty good weekend. Didn't have Skyline though. That's always a bummer. But I was too full when there's a Skyline in the airport. And I was too full when I got there. So anyway, go home, pack up a little bit, and then leave. And Dad drives me to Cincinnati. I get out of the car, and that's when I notice that my flight is over an hour delayed. Now, keep in mind, I could have stayed at my parents' house for a lot longer if they would have been more upfront and let everybody know sooner, because it's about an hour and 10-minute drive from my parents' house to the Cincinnati airport. So that was kind of a bummer. And then as I go through security, it gets adjusted, and now it's 30 minutes later. So now it's an hour and 30 minutes late. So I go through security, no issues at all in security, and very easy to get through security there. And then I go all the way down to a bar that is near my gate. And I walk up, and I look at the beer selections on draft. Yellow, 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 fruit, yellow, yellow, light, ultra, yellow, yellow. So I asked the lady, hey, do you have any beer for adults? And this woman is sitting there with a yellow beer, and she just kind of looks at me, and the bartender says, I have been trying to tell them to get a stout, a porter, or an amber ale. And I said, did you say amber ale? And I didn't say A Mountain because I knew she wouldn't know what that was. And she said, yes, I did. It was kind of funny. It like turned into some weird commercial for a second. And she says, I have this. And she pulls out a Peroni. Now, if you've if you've ever seen Peroni, it is the one of the lightest beers you could possibly have, an Italian beer. And I said, no, thanks. I guess I'll try to see if I can find something else. And she goes, okay, I'm so sorry. So now the only other bar is clear back at the first gate. So I'm gate 22. Now I got to walk all the way back down to this Bengals bar. Very funny. It was a Bengals bar, but the bartender wasn't a Bengals fan. She was a Steelers fan. And they're like, I wouldn't say bitter rivals. It's kind of one of those fake rivalries like we have as Diamondbacks and if you're a Cardinals fan, where, you know, your rival as the D-backs, our rival's the Dodgers, but the Dodgers rival is not the D-backs. It's kind of like that deal where the Steelers' main rival is the Browns' main rival is the Steelers, but the Bengals try to pretend that they're a rival with both of them. And they're a divisional rival, but, you know, it's not the same thing. So anyway, she's got a Steelers lanyard on, and she's wearing a 90, some kind of bracelet with some kind of TJ Watt bracelet or something. She says, I can't like openly wear Steelers stuff, but I try. So she thought that was funny. I look at their beer selection. Dos Equis Amber is the best I could do. So I get some Dos Equis Amber. I don't know how many I had, 3 or 4. And then I find out the flight's pushed back another half hour. So now it's a little over 2 hours late. Now, keep in mind, my flight from Tampa last weekend was 2 hours late. And now this flight is 2 hours late. So I tweet American Airlines and say, hey, I realize crap happens from time to time, but twice back-to-back Sundays when I'm trying to go home? I mean, we got to go here. You know, I forget quite what I said. And I said something about getting me a beer. And they were like, oh, Doug, please, we're so sorry. You know, our goal is to always, like a real cheesy apology. And I said, nothing wrong as long as you get me a Goose. And Goose Island IPA is, you're going to laugh at this, is the darkest beer on an American flight. And I don't like IPAs because of the fruit, not because of the hops. I don't want my beer fruited. But Goose Island IPA, I barely taste the citrus in it. So I'm okay with that. Like, I would never order it as my preference. But when you've got all yellow beer, I usually just don't drink beer then. But with Goose Island, I'll take a Goose. So I said, just give me a Goose and we'll call it even. Well, the stewardesses didn't give me a Goose, so I was disappointed. Get on the flight. I loved the gate agent. Loved her. I've never heard a gate agent say this in my life. This seems so politically incorrect, but I didn't care. Like, you know how I guess we're supposed to act like if you're in a wheelchair, we don't see that you're in a wheelchair? Well, she announces, okay, I'm a little confused here. Time to do pre-boarding. I have 3 people that have requested early boarding, a Mr. So-and-so, a Mr. So-and-so, and a Miss So-and-so. The 3 of you are in wheelchairs, and I'm looking around and I don't see anybody in a wheelchair. Is there anybody in a wheelchair? And then one guy who thinks he's funny says, I'm in the wheelchair. Yeah, dude, not funny. And she didn't say, dude, not funny, but she just ignored him. And she goes, okay, I don't see anybody in a wheelchair. First class, zone 1. And she's like rifling through everything. So that was cool. So I get on the plane then. I'm sitting mostly in the back. I'm row 25, or I'm row 25. I bet there's about 32 rows in the plane, something like that. I'm row 25. A pilot sits down in row 24 right in front of me. No big deal. Okay, whatever. But he's sitting in front of me. We didn't wait very long before we got going. So we're all through the safety thing. The flight attendants have walked up and down the aisles. We're ready to go. Everybody's buckled. And then as soon as the jets rear up, I don't know if rear is the word, but as soon as they get fired up and we start going down the runway, he immediately reclines his seat. Now think about, like, listen, I'm not going to flip out and act like the safety hazard, we're all going to die. But the reason why you can't recline your seat during takeoff and landing is to make sure there's plenty of room for the people behind you to get out in case of an emergency. And the most problems on a flight occur in takeoff and landing. So now this guy is literally in my lap before the plane has even remotely gotten to speed yet, let alone taken off. But the thing that really made me mad is my iPad is on my lap. I'm watching. I don't know if this is weird. I just scrolled through Prime and tried to find some things to watch because I didn't feel like reading. And I was watching this show on the spies of the American Revolution. And so my head's down and he bashes my head with the chair. So I'm pretty upset about that. Now the plane is up in the air. Now we're still in a sense taking off, but we're at least up in the air. And American has this pretty cool feature on a lot of their planes. I don't know if every plane has it, but it's a little phone holder. So it's considered part of your tray table, but it's a phone holder. But it holds your iPad too. So I put my tablet on there, and now I've got the screen at eye level. It's perfect. I'm watching the show, and then all of a sudden, this Yahoo pilot starts trying to get comfortable, but I don't mean like moving a little bit. I mean, he is like an 8-year-old on a springy mattress, jumping up and down. He's bouncing back and forth. He literally knocks my iPad onto my lap 3 different times and finally gets comfortable as he keeps knocking it off by moving the seat. Again, not just kind of moving a little bit, violently bouncing back and forth up against the seat. All right, end of story in a sense. Halfway through the flight, I'd say we got about an hour and a half left. All of a sudden, he starts doing that again. And it was such a shock because I was so not ready for it to happen. And then, boom, iPad hits me falls in my lap. And the woman or the dude next to me goes, "Oh my gosh." Like everybody saw the first incident, but you kind of forget about it. I didn't forget about it, but you could tell people forgot about it. Now this happens again. And I put it up there again, and it happens again, like boom, 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 3 more times in a row in the middle of the flight. And people are like kind of laughing, kind of grumbling, kind of like, this is unbelievable that this guy is this out of control. And I finally said, "Hey, dude, are you good? You tell me when you're good. Are you good?" And he turns around and he goes, "What?" And I said, "Are you done with this jungle gym here?" Oh, do you not want me to recline? I said, "I don't care if you recline. I got a bad back. I understand. But sit still. Quit being a 10-year-old and bouncing back and forth like my tray is a what did I say? Oh, like my tray is a trampoline. You're going to knock my juice all over." I drink orange juice on a plane unless I buy a goose. I figured I had 4 beers, so I didn't need another goose. And I wanted to see if they were going to buy me a goose. And now you're knocking my iPad all over the place. Just sit still. Turn around and sit still. And it is kind of weird to yell at a grown adult to sit still, especially a guy that's a pilot. But I was sick of this dude. And then people are kind of laughing that I'm yelling at this guy to sit still. And he probably wanted to punch me in the face, but he knew as a pilot he couldn't. And so then he sat there, and then he was a good boy the rest of the flight. Did not look at me during deplaning, but he was a good boy. So that was my experience. Well, then I get home and I try to be a hero. I hadn't watched any of the Diamondbacks while I was gone. So I watched all 3 Diamondbacks games Monday morning. Then downloaded all the sound from Mike LaFleur and Jacoby Brissett, a little bit of Trey McBride, cut it all up, and got all of that done at 4 a.m, which is now, in a sense, since I was trying to get used to Eastern time, is 7 a.m. Eastern time, since I had just flown in from Ohio. And I'm exhausted. So I give up and I go lay down. We have a couch. The office that I took over from Jennifer is just outside the living room. And we have a pretty comfortable couch in that living room. So I go over there. I lay down. I set a timer for 45 minutes. Just give me 45 minutes and I'll come back to work. So I lay down for 45 minutes. My alarm goes off. I'm like, this ain't happening. So I set it for an hour. So now we're ready. It's about, I don't know what time it is, maybe 5:30, and I give up. And I just say, you know what? I'm going to go to bed, and I'm going to wake up like early. I'm going to wake up like 9 o'clock and come down and do a show. That didn't happen either. And then I slept. And I was so mad when I woke up. If I would have just come home, admitted to you, hey, I didn't see the D-backs, but here's the D-back stuff. I figured Cardinals are more important since they just got done with the beginning of training camp and the Jacoby Brissett contract. So talked Cardinals, told you I was a little frustrated with the D-backs against Washington. We would have been fine. And of course I didn't do that. I tried to be a hero, and the show prep killed me. And then I was too exhausted to do the show. And I've already made that mistake before. So there's the life story of the weekend. Pretty frustrated with myself, but I really appreciate you as a member of the Unplugged Army always staying with me. The other reason why that stinks is Jackson Asher did a Rattlers rundown for yesterday's show that is kind of a recap on the season going into their playoff game this weekend. And now he worked so hard and it doesn't run. So we will definitely be running that today as well. And it's a Town Hall Tuesday. A lot of good stuff, Diamondbacks wives, that were asked in Town Hall Tuesday. And I think that's it today. First padded practice. So I'm excited to go to that. And I will be there today, guaranteed. Tomorrow, I think. And today's practice is at 4 o'clock. I try to sit, if you're in the Unplugged Army and you want to come over and watch with me, although I'm kind of boring to watch practice with because I'm talking to myself all the time and trying to write down notes. They don't let me bring in a pen and a clipboard, but I can bring in my iPad and take notes on the iPad. So I'll be doing that, and I'll be sitting over by the railing. So I try to sit right next to the end zone on the railing so I can look over the railing and see everything all over the place. If you sit other places, if you've been to a Cardinals game before, the grass tray isn't pushed all the way up against the west side of the, is that the west side? Let me sit here and think about the stadium. I guess the grass comes out to the southeast. So to the northwest, it doesn't get pushed all the way up into the northwest side. And therefore, you can't see the south end zone in certain seats. So I like to sit right on that railing so I look down at the end zone and then look out to the other end zone. So that's where I sit. And then after practice, I'm going to do a hit with Cam Cox for 12 News. And then I'll be free if you want to go over to the Wigwam, you want to go over to Red's for a beer or something like that. I'd be glad to do that with you. I'll only stay for 2, and then I need to get home and get going on watching the D-backs game because they'll be almost wrapped up with the Pirates by the time practice is over, and they might even be done. So I want to come home and watch that and get ready for tomorrow's show. But if you want to spend some time together tomorrow, I'd be glad to see you. All right, time for Doug's big one. It's my number one opinion of the day, and it's been Biggie-sized by your local Wendy's. Make this the week to try the new and improved spicy chicken sandwich if you haven't done it yet. And if you have done it, well, go get another one at Wendy's. Let's roll.
Doug.
Where's Doug? Here, sorry, Doug. Where are you at?
Yeah, was that a plug to unplug?
Everyone plays from the CM spots, Doug.
Doug had given me a stat.
With that, I am happy to take your questions. Let's start with Doug.
This is a great question, Doug. Well, I can only answer the questions that get asked of me, Doug.
Obviously, Franz is such a good player.
Doug's big one. The salaries of quarterbacks as ranked by overthecap.com for the 2026 season. Matt Stafford, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, Deshaun Watson, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Jared Goff, Joe Burrow, Jordan Love, Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Trevor Lawrence, Brock Purdy, Aaron Rodgers, Daniel Jones, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Cam Ward, Anthony Richardson, Caleb Williams, Fernando Mendoza, Jaden Daniels, Drake May. And at number 26, Jacoby Brissett. Now, you might be wondering, well, wait, what about Kyler Murray? Truth is, Kyler Murray being paid by the Vikings is at $1.3 million. But he gets paid a lot more than that by the Arizona Cardinals. But these are the salaries by team for each player. You might be wondering about Patrick Mahomes. Well, Mahomes signed a huge extension, but the extension kicks in next year. I gave you 25 names of players that are being paid more to play quarterback than Jacoby Brissett. I'm not complaining about the contract. I think the contract is outstanding. I think it's exactly what Jacoby Brissett should be paying or should be paid. Doug's big one today is this. Why did it take 4 months to get to this point? I'm sure the Arizona Cardinals knew in February he was going to want a new deal. I'm sure the Arizona Cardinals knew in March, as free agency started, he wanted a new deal. But they didn't want to win bad enough knowing that he wasn't going to come to OTAs. And they didn't have him at OTAs in April. They didn't have him at OTAs at May. He was a hold in for mini camp in June. And then he was a quote unquote hold in for the first 3 days of camp. And now you got a deal done that he would have taken in February. He would have taken this deal in February. I won't forget. I forget who it was. Sorry that I forget who it was, but I won't forget the actual nature of the email in Town Hall Tuesday, sometime 3 weeks into the season in April. But it was, Doug, I really like your knowledge of the things you say about the D-backs, blah, 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 but I just can't handle you yelling at Ketel Marte every day for the next 4 or 5 months. And that really stuck with me because I want to be able to show you the passion I have for what I talk about. But at the same time, being mindful that it can't be one person's fault all the time. I just get so sick of stars that don't care. And they say, oh, yeah, he cares. He cares. No. Did you see that walking lead yesterday on the contact play? That's not a guy that cares. He says he cares because he gets emotional when things don't go well. So that means he cares. But why not care enough to focus? Well, I'm not going to be hard on Ketel Marte and then go soft on Michael Bidwell. I don't understand it. Why do you expect anybody to buy a ticket to that product when you don't care? Justify the Jacoby Brissett meltdown in contract talks. Just try. Now, there's a chance Jacoby Brissett got an extra $1 million or $2 million by the holdout. Maybe. I don't know. But when we juxtapose Trey McBride saying as his contract was lowballed and he thought, wow, maybe I'm not going to stay here. I wanted to stay here, but maybe I'm not. As arguably the best tight end in football, at least top 3, and yet he gets lowballed. What in the world were they doing with Jacoby Brissett? Because there's a lot of quarterbacks you'd rather have than Jacoby Brissett. And he understands that. But he was asking to be paid more than Davis Mills, Marcus Mariota, Jarrett Stidham. He wanted to be paid more than Gardner Minshew because the Cardinals were paying him more than they were paying Jacoby Brissett. There is no way you can justify not getting the Jacoby Brissett deal done and say the Cardinals are an organization that want to win. You can't tell me they have any desire to win. Now, of course, the GM wants to win, the head coach, stuff like that. But you can't overcome an owner that thinks that was okay this last summer. It's not okay. And this town needs to kind of start rising up against this. I don't mean you throw things, you act like a jerk or anything like that. But why not make your opinions heard in different forums with class? Why not make your opinion heard if Michael Bidwell speaks at the red and white practice? Why is somebody like Jacoby Brissett holding out just to be paid as the 26th best quarterback in football? All he was asking for, can I just be bumped up to starters money? And the Cardinals dragged their feet for 4 months. I would have had more respect if they came out and said, we're done negotiating. If you want more money, go earn it, or we'll put incentives in your contract and let you earn it on the field. We got rid of Kyler. We can get rid of you. At least then you're making a point, even though it's wrong. At least you're showing conviction. But the idea of acting tough for 4 months just to cave and give him what he would have taken in February means you had no point to this. That's bad management. And that's Doug's big one. You're probably sick of this story, but I'm not sick of telling it because of what it means to me. Sitting at Trophy Bar one time, having the greatest sports bar, Rigatoni. And there's Tim Hovick, Santan Ford. Hey, Tim. I know him well he's been such a long time sponsor of Arizona State. And I used to be the sideline reporter, and him and I would have a good time on some of those trips. And he said, man, I miss Doug and Wolf. What are you doing now? And I said, I'm a podcaster. And I figured people are used to hearing me every morning, so I try to do a podcast overnight so it drops on your phone every morning. So now people can listen to me whenever they want to in the morning. And he goes, well, do you have sponsorships on it? And I said, yeah, I'd love to have you as a sponsor. And he goes, are any other car dealerships on it? And I said, no. And he goes, well, we'd like to be the first. Right then. So why don't you stop by the office and let's talk? You know how many people in the advertising world, at radio stations, television stations, what have you, in this city would give anything for Tim Hovick to say, come into his office, let's talk? And he did that for us. It means a lot to me that he trusted us. But I also know I can trust him. I sent my daughter there to buy her first new car. Well, the car wasn't new, but it was her first time in her life where she bought a car. You're not going to send your own kid to a place you don't trust, right? Well, maybe you would. I wouldn't. I'm joking. Go to Santan Ford, 202 in Val Vista. I am Santan Ford. We got a lot of Cardinals to actually talk about today, so let's dive into that. We'll start with what was said between Friday and not yesterday. They didn't do anything yesterday. That was their forced day off as it relates to the CBA. But I'll go through some of the stuff that I pulled for yesterday's show and never used it. First one is from Friday. So this is the head coach as people are starting to talk about Jacoby Brissett's contract, but it's not quite done yet. So this is the head coach talking about Jacoby before the contract was signed.
again, he's a really smart dude who's played a lot of football, seen a lot of football. He doesn't have to learn defenses around this league. It's just a learning the terminology and kind of the whys behind what we're doing. Some of it probably he didn't even need to be explained why, because he's done it a million times. And we somewhat run all the same stuff. There's different details and there's different reasons of why we're going to do it. But I like where he's at from a learning standpoint. And I think he'd say the same thing.
So I have to give him credit because LaFleur does not change the message necessarily. He is then asked, that was Friday, so now he's asked this on Sunday. And the reason why that's important is Monday's the day off. So when he's talking on Sunday, he says tomorrow we're off. He talks about 2 days. Well, 2 days is today. First padded practice, first real time they're going to play somewhat football. It's still somewhat football because every team is scared nowadays to tackle to the ground. So it's still not totally real, but at least it's better, and they at least will thud up each other and kind of stand each other up. So nobody ever hits a quarterback, under any circumstances. But anyway, so now he's asked about what Jacoby is in for and what he expects from Jacoby coming up for Sunday's practice.
We're going to have competition throughout our groups, obviously at any position, but with everything that was just signed, starting in 2 days, he'll end up, he'll go with the ones. We obviously have the day off tomorrow. Want to still get him, up to speed in terms of not just schematically. I'm really not even worried about that with him because of what I've always told you guys. It doesn't need to learn defense. It doesn't need to learn the speed of the game. Doesn't even really need to learn our players per se. But man, practice is still very important, and getting him to just with the routes on air, stuff like that, giving him one more day off in terms of tomorrow with the whole team, and then getting him integrated with the first team and getting rolling.
You heard him say right in the middle there, practice is very important. Well, obviously not to the Arizona Cardinals. Usually I end Doug's big one and I move off of it, but man, that's what I mean. And this is why sometimes you hear me defend head coaches when nobody else wants them defended. I still don't think Jonathan Gannon should have been fired. And I understand, man, the guy lost I don't even remember how many straight games. They were terrible. I know all that. But firing him is like saying, and it's going to get better. So when they lose 11 games this year, well, they're going to lose more than 11. When they lose 15 games this year, is anything different? Is that Jonathan Gannon's fault? That's my point. What's consistent with the Arizona Cardinals? More specifically, what's consistent with the Glendale Cardinals? That's what I study. That's what I look at. And so here's another example of you don't have your starting quarterback in for all of OTAs. You don't have him in at minicamp. And now, 2 days before your first padded practice, 8 days before your first game in the preseason, your starting quarterback is taking reps with the first team for the first time. And all of that could have been taken care of 4 months ago if you just paid him the going rate for a low-level starting quarterback. The guy wasn't asking for big dollars. Again, sorry to bring it back up, but just hearing the head coach say, yep, but practicing really matters. Well, obviously it didn't. Your owner doesn't think it matters. Now, this next one, I'm playing playing it to you in full, but I got to explain it first because I just think this is absolutely hysterical. So, Mike LaFleur has been saying forever he's not worried. The quarterback's going to know this offense. He's done all this stuff before. Blah 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 blah. Well, Teo Mackey wants to know that same question, but from the perspective of Jacoby Brissett. So he's going to ask Jacoby Brissett how things look, how well does he know the offense when he's only been, inside the walls of the building / stadium for a couple days. And while he's starting to ask the question, you can barely understand it, but Jacoby Brissett says, you grew your hair out. And Teo's like, what? You grew your hair out. And Teo starts laughing, and then it's thrown him for a loop. He's not prepared for his question anymore. So we've learned the only way to stump America's reporter, the only way to soften up America's reporter is to catch him off guard with an observation. So if you're ever on the witness stand and Teo Mackey is grilling you, keep that in mind. Hey, you grew your hair out. Which is actually something no one's ever said to me.
You obviously came back during mandatory minicamp.
Sorry? You grew your hair out a little bit.
For now, we'll see. You threw me off. You obviously came back during mandatory minicamp and were in meetings at that point. Do you feel like you're kind of fully up to speed with learning the offense, or is that still a progression?
Oh, hell no. I think we just ran all day one plays out there for me today. So I got a long way to go. But again, like I said, I mean, I'm willing to put the work in. Obviously, after this night of sleep that I do get, I'll go back to 3 hours of sleep for work purposes now. But it's training camp. We're all learning. It's first time in this offense. So I'm not naive to understand that it's still a lot of work to be done.
Now, what he meant by the sleep, as he had said earlier during the holdout, he was really nervous. He's really anxious, and he's getting about 3 hours of sleep. He kept thinking about it because he worked as his own agent and didn't know, what was going to happen. And so he only had 3 hours of sleep at night. Now he says, okay, then he said, I'm going to get some sleep now that this is done. And now he goes, okay, after that sleep, I'm going to go back to 3 hours of sleep so I can learn this offense. I really take him for his word. I think he's totally serious. He does not know this offense. And again, I'm sorry to do it again. That goes back to Doug's big one. Your starting quarterback doesn't know the offense on July 28th. That's 100% ownership. That's not quarterback. That's not head coach. That's 100% ownership. And it makes it so much harder to win. Sure, people are going to say, oh, he'll have it by next week. He'll have it by game one. If you're trying to downplay the importance of OTAs, then why do they have them? If you're trying to downplay the importance of OTAs, then why is it successful for other quarterbacks? Why are other teams doing it? Would you not agree that if another team has 15 more practices than Team B, Team A is going to be better prepared? Now, they might not have better players, but Team A is going to be better prepared. Well, the Cardinals are Team B in the sense of what their starting quarterback has done, all because of ownership. Speaking of the offense, somebody that has been there at OTAs and minicamp and has not missed any of training camp, tight end Trey McBride was asked about kind of comparing the offense and what's the difference in the two offenses? What changes do you notice between what you ran last year and what you're running now?
I think Mike does a really good job of making the run and the pass game look the exact same, and that's something that we really, as an offensive unit, we're really trying to do is if we can, have the illusion that everything's going to look the exact same and the defense doesn't know if it's a run, a pass, whatever it may be, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make everything look the same to keep the defense kind of on their heels rather than their toes, So he's done a great job of doing that. He's done a great job of moving everybody around, going into 12, 13, 11 personnel, whatever it may be. And it's been a lot of fun just these last few weeks. The OTAs, all of it's been a blast. And I'm excited to continue to, put the pads on, continue to evolve and see where this offense can go.
So John Gruden comes from the Bill Walsh tree. Bill Walsh is wrongly credited with the West Coast offense. I say wrongly because it's actually Paul Brown's offense. It's just he had a difficult owner in Art Modell, and Paul Brown didn't spend a lot of money himself when he owned the Browns and when he owned the Bengals. But he's a brilliant coach. And the Bengals and Browns didn't quite, well, the Browns won it a lot, but there wasn't really marketing back then. And the Bengals didn't win that much. So Bill Walsh takes a lot of the offense, morphs it into his way, and when he's at Stanford, starts running it, it's successful, goes to the 49ers, now has Joe Montana, the offense takes off and everybody labels it the West Coast offense because it's coming out of San Francisco when in truth it was coming out of Cleveland and Cincinnati under Paul Brown. Anyway, enough with the history lesson. So the West Coast offense eventually has multiple children that comes out of it, but John Gruden and Mike Shanahan are two of the more famous. Andy Reid's also a part of it. Mike Holmgren's a part of it. Mike McCarthy. But anyway, back to John Gruden. Gruden was famous in the offense for running not that many plays, but a gargantuan number of formations. So he would run the same play with different personnel groups in order to really fool you. Because if he felt like this play is working, well, I don't want to key you off that I'm going to keep running it. So I'll run it out of different formations. I will maybe look like I'm going to throw. I'll go into 11 personnel or 10 personnel, but then I'm going to run the ball on the same play that's been successful. Things like that. Mike Shanahan took the West Coast offense, and then he employed it with a guy named Alex Gibbs, who I actually think, if you believe assistant coaches can invent something and be in the Hall of Fame for it, Alex Gibbs belongs, as he is the father of the zone blocking scheme. It's where you get 5 dancing bears, you get your offensive linemen to all block as a team. It used to be, hey, the guy lined up in front of you, you hit him and you drive him back, and that's run blocking. And sometimes we'll get really sneaky, and instead of blocking the guy in front of you, you block the guy now to your left, and we're going to swing somebody around behind you to sneak in, called pulling, and block somebody on your right. Alex Gibbs said, let's do this. Let's have all 5 guys block to the right at the same time. And it doesn't matter who you really hit. You just hit the guy on the right and make sure that nobody gets into the gap between you. If all 5 guys are running together, that creates 4 different running lanes. So the running back's job on a zone read, on a zone blocking scheme, is imagine the letter L. You run in a slanted pattern the same way your linemen are blocking. So if they're blocking right, you run diagonally to the right and get behind them. And as you're doing so, you are looking, found a hole you have, I would say. You're looking for a hole in the offensive line, and you plant your outside foot and you cut back into the hole, but you have your choice of any of the holes. The key to being a good zone blocking running back is that you only plant that foot once. You put that foot down one time, you cut back one time, and whatever hole you pick, that's the hole you take, and you go. And now the offensive line isn't worried about, hey, he's hitting the B gap, so I've got to make sure I block the B gap very well. No, you're just all blocking. And the running back picks whoever did the best job and cuts back into that hole. So that's zone blocking. So Mike Shanahan took the West Coast offense, which is all rhythm-based, timing-based, and then added to it the zone blocking scheme from Alex Gibbs when he was with the Broncos, when they were with the Broncos together. So now what does Sean McVay do with the Shanahan offense? Sean McVay, young offensive assistant with the Washington at the time Redskins. Mike Shanahan, the head coach. Kyle Shanahan is on the offensive staff. John Gruden's little brother, Jay Gruden, is on the staff. That's the staff that's there. And Sean McVay kind of develops this boot and waggle system. Boots and waggles have to do with quarterback motion after handoffs. You're going to boot over here. You're going to waggle here. And these stretch runs where the quarterback is almost sprinting to get the ball to the running back. We talk about a mobile quarterback all the time as it relates to the quarterback being able to dance in the pocket and run for yards. We don't talk about a mobile quarterback enough when we talk about the stretch runs because, man, that quarterback's got to go a long way to get that handoff. But it creates great angles for the running back. But it also does something else. And this is the whole point of Trey McBride. You can make pass and run plays look exactly the same. And you can also use them to read the defense. Maybe one play you call and it's really, hey, it's a play fake. You stretch way out to the left. We're going to make it look like we're going to run to the right. And then you fake the handoff and just take a small roll behind your offensive line and you throw it downfield. Maybe that's already the play. Other times it's a read. It's an actual read. Run out there, see if it's not covered. If it's not covered, hand it off. If it is, roll back the other way. Tight end will see as he's blocking that you didn't hand the ball off. He releases, and you've got a wide receiver who was blocking who now releases and goes over the top. You've got options. And if those options are covered, well, now you're a mobile quarterback. You just keep running. So that becomes the Sean McVay system. Kyle Shanahan does some similar things, not quite, but it's still all West Coast base. And now you get what Mike LaFleur is from, and to that matter, what Matt LaFleur is from too, with the Packers. That Mike LaFleur is from that. It's actually an offense that Jacoby Brissett could do well in. Now, when I say well, I don't think Jacoby Brissett will ever be a quarterback that gets above average. When I say above average, no, I don't mean he'll get to above average. I don't think he'll ever be above average. I think average is a hard ask for Jacoby Brissett. But this offense is pretty good. But I want you to keep an eye on that. That's your big history lesson for the day. But that's really where the LaFleur offense comes from. But what I like is what I'm hearing, that it's going to be one where we're going to try to fool you without fooling ourselves. Our plays look similar, but we know that we're executing the same thing. And if we're executing the same thing, it's not like we're tricking ourselves. Major problem, in my opinion, with what the Cardinals used to be running when they were an air raid team, even though Cliff Kingsbury tried to say they weren't an air raid team, is he's devising all of these plays, and he's brilliant at it. Like the play design from Cliff Kingsbury was really good. There were two flaws. One, it's really hard to rep when everything's new all the time. You don't have just your base plays that he calls regularly. And number two, I forgot. Oh, number two, he was, I think, a bad play caller. I think there's a difference between a play designer and a play caller. I think he was more of a grab bag play caller. I believe in this play. Let's try it. Up, it didn't work. I believe in this play. Let's try it. Up, it didn't work. I believe in this. Up, it didn't work. Well, this is where the Mike LaFleur mind will come in a McVay offense. If I am running a run play and a pass play out of the same formation and the same look, well, now I can call that play in the first quarter and watch what you do. And if your defense reads my run play very well, I can call it again in the second half and make it a pass. So you're all giddy. You know what I'm doing. You know my run. Here I come. Boom. I didn't really run it. Play action. You've sold out for the run. I made the run and pass look the same. But I get windows into how you want to guard me. And I can also, hey, maybe the run play worked, and I can see, wow, my right tackle's a lot better than your edge rusher in the run game. We can run that multiple times, and we'll just keep running that play, or we'll bring it up in the second half, but I won't make a pass out of it. I'll run it again. And then I'll tell my quarterback, we're going to run this again, but if you see that safety drop down, then just don't hand it off. Pull it out, keep rolling, throw it over the safety's head. So we're still going to call the run play, but the receiver is still going to run his route. See all that? That's why it's a better thing than what Cliff Kingsbury was doing. And that's why that little quote right there from Trey McBride, you can read a lot more into it. And I guarantee you, even though I choked like crazy yesterday, I guarantee you there wasn't a show on any radio station that talked about the Trey McBride quote that much and why it matters. Now, Wolf knows all this. So sometimes Wolf does. I was going to rip him, but I love the dude. So I won't. I love this question to Mike LaFleur. What's your stance on fighting?
Here's what I told them. I'll be real with you guys. I'll be candid. I told the guys, yesterday with the fighting element, I said, you don't fight because you can't fight in a game. So why are we going to do anything that I guess you can fight in a game, but it's going to cost you a lot of money. You're going to cost the team, and then, you're probably going to miss a game, if not more. So don't fight. Now, if you do fight, I have a responsibility for this team to do what is best for this team. If that means that it's going to hurt the team to kick you out of that practice, then I got to keep you out there. If it's going to hurt the team to keep you in practice because you're going to keep fighting, then I got to get you out. So in that split second, I reserve the right to make the decision what I think is best for in that case, probably 88 other guys. Hopefully we don't have a melee out there where I have to decide off of 20. I don't anticipate that happening. So that's what I told them, just being candid with you guys. And, that's that.
I thought that was a really interesting answer. He didn't totally drop the hammer on fighting, but he left himself a lot of room to interpret who I want fighting and who I don't. There's a great story Wolf tells. I very rarely retell stories, but it's truly one of my favorite Wolf stories. And the show's going on, so we're together, and we're up in Flagstaff. And he tells me that the Cardinals and have invited him to speak at the beginning of training camp, just to kind of explain what it means to be a Cardinal, why it's so important to be here in Flagstaff and and stuff like that. And he was all going. I might be wrong, and we weren't in Flagstaff, and we were in Glendale by then. I can't remember. Now that I think of it, I don't remember Bruce Arians ever in Flagstaff, so I don't think we were in Flagstaff. But Wolf gets to speak to him. So Wolf goes in there, and he tells the famous story that he loves to tell about his brother. He says, I come in my first Cardinals training camp, and I forget where Cardinals training camp used to be, but there used to be a thing called the Cheese League. And it was teams that had training camp in the upper Midwest. So Wisconsin and Minnesota and Iowa and Illinois. And they called it the Cheese League because they would practice against each other quite a bit. And the Cardinals were up there as well. And he's all nervous for this first ever training camp as an NFL player. And he calls his older brother, Craig, longtime player for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And he asked Craig for advice, and Craig tells him something like, know the playbook, play hard, something like, I don't remember the first two, admittedly. I don't remember the first 2 points. And lastly, pick a fight with the toughest guy on the other side of the ball. Okay. So he does this. And then one time he just knocks the crap out of, on a block, the toughest guy on the other team. And they get into a fight. I think it's a separate fight than the famous Richard Dent fight. Wolf got into a big fight in training camp with Richard Dent. And he doesn't like to talk about it because it's the only fight I ever lost. But that's what he says to these Cardinals kids. Do this, and pick a fight with the toughest guy on the side. And that means you'll get it. And he's like, yeah. And he's getting everybody all fired up. Wolf wasn't invited to the Bruce Arians speech right before Wolf came in which he bawled them out if they fought. Well, he lost his mind. Listen, if you guys fight, we don't fight the Cardinals. We never play the Cardinals. We're not going to fight the Cardinals. We're not going to fight in a game because we're not going to take a 15-yard penalty. If you don't fight in a game, why would you fight in practice? And we don't play the Cardinals. So there's no reason to fight a Cardinal. You fight, we run. And just like went off on don't waste my time with your fighting. And then Wolf comes in and tells him to start a fight. I do love that story. Well, clearly a difference with Mike LaFleur saying, listen, I don't want him to fight. You don't get to fight in the game, but if it happens, that's code for I don't really care if it happens. So you might actually see some fights because there's going to be some people that want to prove themselves and prove that they are tough. And it's almost always true that the fights take place either between two try-hard guys that are hoping to make the team or a try-hard guy and a lazy guy, and the lazy guy is getting sick of the try-hard guy. And so he starts throwing a haymaker because he's mad at the try-hard guy. Okay, one more offensively, and then we'll go to the defensive side of the ball. Trey McBride was on a podcast, and he was talking about the fans and how tough it is being an Arizona Cardinal because all the fans are from somewhere else, so they're not really hardcore Cardinals fans. And we've got to do the silent count at home, and we've got to deal with a lot of opposing fans in our building. Well, now he was asked about that comment in a press conference.
Yeah, that was, I probably shouldn't have said that. It came out, wrong. And, obviously the fan base is great. We have a tremendous fan base. Arizona's been here, loyal fans to all, the sports teams here. And we're very lucky to have a lot of these guys. And we're going to have a great season. We're going to win games, and we're going to make sure those fans have something proud to cheer for. And, like I said, man, I love it here in Arizona. And, I hope they love me too. But it's a special place. The fans are great. And, I'm excited for this year to give them something to be proud of.
I don't know about you, but it seems like to me Trey McBride is such a good dude that's the first lie he ever told. He does not believe a word of that. Well, I shouldn't have really said that, they're great fans here. They're great fans. They're great fans. They support all of our teams here. They're great fans, and we're going to win a lot of games this year. Are you kidding? That doesn't mean I want that he should say, yeah, our fans are a disaster. I'm glad I said it. I hope they hate me, and we're going to lose a lot. Like, I want a player to believe they're going to win every game, or at least believe I'm going to compete as hard as I can in every game. But that's hysterical. Yeah, I shouldn't have said that. They're great fans. They're great fans. Come on. Now, if you're a hardcore Cardinals fan, I'm not ripping you. But you might be a great fan, but the Cardinals do not have great fans. Look at Philly. Look at Giants. Look how long it took Washington to become a bad fan base. And they came right back as soon as Daniel Snyder was gone. The great fan bases of the world, they go to the game no matter what. Now, they might go and support. They might go to boo. But they're there. Cardinals fans, they're not there. I mean, it is a detriment. Now, I'm not saying you should buy a ticket. Like, if you're a Cardinals fan, I almost say, why? I look at ownership that negatively, like it's not going to get better. But it's really, like, how rewarding did it have to be for you to be in that Super Bowl? Like, if you were truly one of the 20,000 people at Sun Devil Stadium supporting the Cardinals, that you have kept your season tickets all the way. I mean, if you're one of those people, man, that Super Bowl had to be one of the greatest moments of your life. that your Cardinals made it, and you were there to support them all of those years to get them to that point. So I want you to have that feeling. I'm rooting for you. I'm just not rooting for the Cardinals. But I want you happy. But Trey McBride, no. It's not a great fan base. All right, let's go defense. Everybody's favorite player, Buddha. Defensive coordinator, Nick Rollis. What do you think of Buddha?
I think he looks the best he's ever looked since I've been with him, to be honest. And that's real, and he'll tell you that. He's moving so good because he's on a different level in terms of how he takes care of himself, how he trains. I think that he feels phenomenal right now, and he looks phenomenal. And he's got the play style, he's got the ability that he's always had. But you can just see that, like, the work he puts in, like, he's still that missile, you know. And so it's pretty cool to see. I kind of wish I had his home set up, just, you know, like big weight room and multiple racks, recovery centers. So there's a reason that he's feeling the way he's feeling, the way he's moving, is because he lives this.
Boy, that's well said. Best he's ever looked. He lives this. The home setup. He invested into himself by investing into his home to set it up for recovery because he cares that much. That's special. I mean, no matter how bad you love, how much you love, or how bad you hate the Cardinals, or how apathetic you are, you can't say, I love football and I don't like Buddha Baker. Those two sentences cannot be said. And that was really cool to hear that about Buddha. He's going into year 10. 30-year-old dude going into year 10. I thought he showed a lot of signs of slippage last year for the first time. The first time I thought that's not Buddha. I hope it was just a one-year thing. I am worried about it. I am worried. This is on Cody Simon. I really like this topic. If you don't remember who Cody Simon is from our big breakdown draft show from a few years ago, and honestly, why would you? Cody Simon went to Ohio State University, and he was a 4-year all Big Ten academic player. So, you know, I love that aspect, but he was an animal as well. To be able to have both worlds, I get the brains and then I get that intensity. He wore the number 0, which developed over time in Ohio State as being the O. So it's not like a 0. It's, in a sense, you're saying it's the letter O. And they only give it to the person with what they consider to be the highest character person. So that's pretty cool. And then what does he wear when he goes to Ohio, or when he comes here to the Cardinals? He chooses jersey number 0 for that reason. Then last year, when you get the Mack Wilson injury, he starts wearing the green dot. So you know he's a very cerebral guy. And this is what I like about this answer from Nick Rollis about, okay, where's Cody Simon at right now in his development?
Let it loose, like, gosh, he's smart, you know, and he knows it. There's not a thing there's not a detail that he would say, oh yeah, I forgot that, right? Like, this game means a lot to him, and you just got to trust that knowledge that you have, that preparation you've put in, that when you see it, go get it. And I think he's done that in these first 2 days, you know, but there's a difference also when you get into the game of when you see it, pull the trigger, go be a playmaker. So, you know, he's ready for that. It's common for rookies to be a little bit hesitant in the sense of, if you don't know it on a 303 level, do I pull the trigger right there? So he had to work through that, and it got better throughout the year, but I would say he's just at a different spot right now where it's very clear to him that he is extremely intelligent. He is very fast to process out there, and he's pulling his trigger and going.
That was such a raw comment at the beginning of that Nick Rallis quote.
Let it loose. Like, gosh, he's smart.
It's like the intelligence is almost holding him back sometimes. He's so cerebral that he's making sure he didn't make a mistake instead of saying, trust it. You're so smart. You know you've got it right, so trust it. Go. I have never been like this until the podcast, and I need to get more in touch with who I used to be. When I was coaching, I would tell the girls all the time, I want you to start screwing up. Go make mistakes. I want the mistakes, though, at 100 miles an hour. Go. Don't wonder, wait, what am I supposed to do? Go do the wrong thing quickly. And then we'll learn what the right thing is. Just go. We work hard enough in practice that you learn what to do. Trust it. Go. And then what have I done off and on for the last few years is I'm so worried about screwing up. I take too long to do this. I edit this too hard. I haven't embraced video yet 5 years later because I'm too scared to just do it because I know how bad it's going to be at the beginning. And I just got to do it. And that's what he's saying about Cody Simon. Just go, dude. Just go. You've got this. And man, that's so important because where is he? You know? Now, it's not a case after last year was his rookie year, so this is year 2. It's not like you're going to say, well, if he hasn't gotten it by now, he'll never get it. No, you're not going to say that because he's entering his second year. Give the rookie from last year a break. But I'm hoping Nick Rallis meant that as it relates to the 2025 version, that there's that positive frustration. I say positive frustration because you can tell the coach believes in him, but that's the kind of phrase a coach says when I believe in you more than you do. Just go. I know you can do it. You don't know you can do it. So if you're seeing that big 0 at practice this week, you want to judge, how is he flying around the ball? How does he look? Does he look like he's thinking less? Because he's already ahead of the other team in thinking. Okay, next one is the defensive coordinator, Nick Rallis, on Max Melton. Remember, Max Melton is the corner out of Rutgers that Monty Ossenfort claims was the one he wanted all along. So there was a whole list of corners on the board. He didn't take them in the second round. I wanted Cooper DeJean. He didn't. He trades out of the spot. And then 3 corners went. I'd have to look it up who they were, but it was Cooper DeJean, it was Lassiter, and it was somebody else. They all went off the board. I liked all of them better than Max Melton. I wanted Melton maybe in the 3rd or 4th round. Hated the pick. I shouldn't say that. Didn't like the pick of Melton in the 2nd. Hated trading down out of a Cooper DeJean pick. Now, I'm just rehashing that for you. Not to rub it in because I'm right so far, but to set it up if I end up being wrong. And this is Rallis on where Max Melton is now.
He's in a great spot. I think he took even a step from day 1 to day 2, but going back to the offseason program, certain things that he needed to improve on, you saw him make some huge strides. I think he's continuing to just develop his knowledge of the game and have some accelerated thinking based on what the offense is presenting before the snap. So, he's in a phenomenal spot. And like you said, the whole room, it's a great problem to have because you got so many guys that can go out there and play winning NFL football. So it's very competitive right now, which is what you want.
I'm not a believer in their cornerback room until Garrett Williams is healthy. Not a believer in that. Well, I shouldn't say that. I like the draft pick of Will Johnson a lot. I liked it a lot. So let's see what he does before I go blabbing like that. Last one. Again, I think the Cardinals are going to be bad. And a lot changes if Cody Simon steps up and he is playing aggressive, intelligent football. A lot changes if Will Johnson steps up, if Sean Murphy-Bunting plays the way he's been paid to play, even though he hasn't yet. There are a couple guys that if they step up, things can change. But there's one name that will never, ever, ever get the credit. And this, to me, also goes back to not good ownership. Roy Lopez from the East Side is back as a Cardinal. He had an outstanding year a couple years ago, and then they didn't want to keep him because they didn't want to pay him. And then he bounced out. Gosh, where did he go? Detroit. He went to Detroit last year, and now he's back. And to me, it's another sign of bad ownership or being a bad general manager that you didn't bring Roy Lopez back. Now, no, Roy Lopez is not going to the Hall of Fame. He's not the greatest player of all time, and he rarely even makes, I would say, rarely makes plays that everybody sees, that everybody notices. But what he's fantastic at is the defensive tackle is taking on double teams so edge rushers get stats. He doesn't get stats. But when he plays, I think edge rushers get stats. And the Cardinals really, in my opinion, failed when they didn't bring him back last year, and now they've got him. Now, granted, he's 2 years older than he was when he played here the last time. But I think he does a great job of freeing other people up. And if you choose to block him one-on-one, he might not get to the quarterback, but he will collapse the pocket and possibly push the quarterback to one side or the other into a sack anyway. And I think he's a good run stuffer. So there's a lot of aspects of what he brings to the table that make everybody else better.
He's been a leader since he's been here. So just having that back has been huge. And he's just a very smart football player. So like he generates conversations in that D-line room that makes myself better, makes PK better, makes all the players better. So from a leadership standpoint, from a locker room standpoint, and then like to me, he's a guy that it was very easy for me, in the spring, talking about play style, motor and violence. Like I had my Roy clips ready to go, right? Because like they've been on the teach tape. And so for him to come back and I'm able to throw those back in because I know that he brings that play style to this defense. So I love that he's here.
I do too. I mean, there are just certain guys that make everybody else better, but they never worry about getting the credit for it. And what worries me about why he left and went to Detroit is it's one of two reasons. Either the owner didn't care enough about winning to keep him, or the general manager didn't understand enough about what he brings to the table to keep him. It's pretty damning for either one of them. Coming up next, Diamondbacks. They won on Friday, and they haven't won since, but they're still in the wild card picture. That's next on Doug Franz Unplugged, presented by Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass.
You grew your hair out a little bit.
Sorry?
You grew your hair out a little bit.
For now, we'll see. You threw me off.
Go to ParkerPaysYourPower.com. Nominate a friend, a coworker, anyone you know that's going through a tough time. Parker might choose them and pay their power bill. Go to ParkerPaysYourPower.com.
It's big, it's juicy, it's meaty. Get your burrito at Burrito Express. If you're having a hangover, a bad day, even a good day, still get your burrito at Burrito Express. It will make you feel better.
This is Angie, the owner of Penny Royal Promotions.
Something that experience does for us is somebody might come in and they've been turned away from several other shops because their project might be a little too complicated or time consuming. My crew can go in, look at the project and say, here's what we can do to get it done, number one, and probably save you money. So they're very, very good at not saying no. Something will work. We just got to find out what works best for our client. That's what we do particularly well.
Diamondbacks a loser yesterday to Pittsburgh. They've lost 3 straight now. I'm a little frustrated with Mike Hazen today. Here we go. A little frustrated with Mike Hazen because but this is hard to talk about. Because I admit, how do I know? That's what I mean by this is hard to talk about. It's not like a touchy subject. It's just, how do I know what he's doing? How do I know how aggressive he's being about being a buyer or a seller? But here's my catch. Before I talk about last night's game, Diamondbacks a winner Friday. Eduardo Rodriguez, really darn good. 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs. Bullpen outstanding. Murillo, Ginkel, Sewald, their A staff, pitched 7, 8, 9. Gabby, 2 for 4. Diamondbacks a winner. Okay, great. Then they lose 5-2 on Saturday. Bratt goes 5 innings, 5 earned runs. Whopping 7 hits and 5 walks. Diamondbacks lose 10-7 on Sunday. Cole Drake, 4 innings pitched, 4 earned runs. So the bullpen has to pitch 9 innings in 2 days. Loaizaga becomes the losing pitcher by giving up 2 earned runs and only an inning. Garcia helped put the game out of reach from a Diamondbacks comeback. So let me go through those numbers again there on Saturday, Sunday. Your starting pitching, Bratt, 5 innings, 5 earned runs. Cole Drake, 4 innings, 4 earned runs. Bad, bad, bad. The reason why I stare down Mike Hazen is because those 2 pitchers, Drake looked good in his first outing. That was it. And Bratt hasn't really looked good in any outing. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't have given him a chance. I mean, it's not their fault Corbin Burns is hurt. It's not their fault Zach Gallen is hurt. Ryan Nelson is hurt. And recently, Michael Soroka. So, therefore, you've got to throw somebody. But it shouldn't be that hard to figure out they're not getting it. Go get somebody. That might mean you have to give up somebody. Yeah. But this team needed to be able to get a starting pitcher by now, and they weren't able to do it. And that's not good. Especially when you see the Red Sox, who had won, 15 games in a row or whatever it was to put themselves back into the playoff picture, still made a trade with the Washington Nationals. Now, the Nationals gave up a stud player, Curtis Mead. I didn't say stud player, but Curtis Mead can play. But the Red Sox gave up early one of their better starting pitchers at the trade deadline. Nick Picoro of the Arizona Republic reported that the Diamondbacks had a chance at him, and they weren't able to get it done. That they even spoke to the Red Sox about trying to get this done. And obviously the Red Sox weren't interested in what the Diamondbacks were willing to give up. The Diamondbacks wanted to give up prospects. The Red Sox wanted a player, like a major league player. And the Diamondbacks really don't have, we would like to say take Ketel, and he could have blocked it. And I think the Red Sox have DirecTV, so they're able to see, wow, Marte's not very consistent. And then you look up and down the roster, any player that the Red Sox would want, Gabby Moreno, Geraldo Perdomo, and Corbin Carroll, the Diamondbacks aren't going to give those guys up. So then when you look at the rest of the roster, I don't think the Red Sox are all that interested. And if they've already declared they don't want somebody from the farm system, well, now if you can't trade a prospect, you're out. Okay, I get it from the Red Sox perspective, but I'm staring down the Diamondbacks and Mike Hazen saying, so the Nationals were below you in the standings, and they're able to get a deal done for what they need most. And you couldn't, with it being clear that Bratt and Drake are not ready for this. Now, one thing about this that needs to be said, you hate to say it, but let's talk about it bluntly. Mike Hazen might be looking at his team saying, this is not a World Series team. And therefore, I would rather have Cole Drake and Bratt coming up and getting this experience now. I don't want to bail them out. I want them to experience a pennant chase. I want them to experience the pressure of trying to hold on to a playoff position so we can evaluate them in those moments and they can have a taste of it now. So when they're more prepared, when they come up from the minors the next time, after Soroka's healthy, after Zach Gallen's healthy, after Corbin Burns is healthy, maybe that's a good thing. And that might be what they're doing, and he would never admit that publicly. But if he's trying to win, I think he's missing the window on getting people in that he needs to have done by now. Okay, yesterday's game. Diamondbacks a loser. Merrill Kelly goes 5 2/3 of an inning. I've always wanted this rule change, even though it makes no sense. I want to see it's an earned run when a pitcher makes an error. You see, your earned run average is supposed to judge how well you throw without judging your defense. Because if it's an unearned run, it's not your fault. Well, if you're the one that made the error, it is your fault. And Merrill Kelly had a bad throwing error in this game on a pickoff play. That means the unearned run is unearned because of the pitcher. So I say it should count on his standings, or it should count on his stat. There would be 0 people that agree with me because you're either old school and you like ERA, and I've just screwed ERA up by including an unearned run, or you hate ERA and therefore you don't care what I think. And that would make you a FIP. Are you a FIP? That's fielding independent pitching, FIP. What that is it only cares about 3 true outcomes. Walk, strikeout, base hit. Or excuse me, I got that wrong. I'm explaining and I got it wrong. Walk, strikeout, home run. Oh, I forgot. Hit batsman is in the stat too. And the reason why is if you get plunked, or if a pitcher plunks somebody, if they strike them out, if they walk them, or if they give up a home run, that really is what it means. Fielding independent pitching. Take out the fielding. An ERA, it can be dramatically skewed by whether or not the official score rules it a hit or an error. It can be dramatically skewed by if you have an incredible left center field or center fielder that cuts the ball off in the gap, holds the batter to a single when a weaker defensive player would have given him a double. It's kind of a weird stat because it doesn't even care about hits. It doesn't matter how many hits the pitcher gives up. They're looking at, hey, every defense is different. I just want to see how often you get your guy out in ways that are accredited to you and you alone and not your defense. So a lot of analytic dudes like to have FIP and WHIP, your FIP and your WHIP. And the reason why that is, I can see how many runners you led on base by walks and hits, and then I can see how many you're giving up with your FIP in home runs, and I'm adding strikeouts to it too. What kind of balance are you getting? What's crazy is FIP is meant to replace ERA, and it almost always ends up being about the same, FIP and ERA. Now, that's a kind of a part of the charm is when it's different, you can understand why. If one guy is giving up a ton of regular base hits, well, his FIP might still be low if he's not giving up home runs, but his ERA might be higher because he's giving up hits. But somebody else might argue, wow, give him a better defense and those outs will happen. Those hits will turn into outs. On the other hand, the guy with a high FIP and a low ERA, you might argue that's a product of a better defensive team. Or that's a product of relievers coming in and saving his bacon when he's got guys on base. So then you might lean toward his WHIP, tell you a different part of the story. That's what a lot of guys in analytics like, is they say, okay, I know what story I'm seeing with this stat with this stat in it together. So today I'm going off on story time, where I give you the West Coast offense, Alex Gibbs and the Mike Shanahan merging in the West Coast offense with the zone scheme. And now I'm going into, Merrill Kelly made an error. I think that unearned run should be his fault. And I went deep into FIP, and I don't really know why I did that. I hate the Manford man. Taylor Clark does not give up an earned run. And he's the losing pitcher because a guy on second that's not his responsibility scores when the team isn't able to make the play on a hard hit ball at first. That still bugs me. I mean, that really bugs me. Don't tell me it's a player safety issue. No, it's not. Player safety issue, if you're really worried about player safety, then just say the game ends at the end of the 10th inning. That's it. And even though it's a tie, we'll bring ties into the game. Oh, we can't do that. So we're going to make up something that screws up everybody's stats. It screws up the game. We're going to act like that's okay. No, it's not. Now, granted, the last ball was correctly ruled a hit. You'd like to see Ildemaro Vargas make that play, and he didn't. But again, Mike Hazen, what are we doing at first base? How do we end up there? Now, granted, Locklear was starting at first, a better defensive first baseman, and he was taken out for Nolan Arenado. And that's an interesting substitution that, Torey Lovello is going to have to stare himself down on. Nolan Arenado is a more clutch player than Tyler Locklear, but Locklear's batting .316. Going into that game. Now, granted, in that game, I think he was 0 for 3. Yeah, he was 0 for 3. And Nolan Arenado's more clutch, but you still put a righty in for a righty. So it wasn't like a right-left matchup. You went with the experience of Nolan Arenado in that moment, and now you lost out on your first base defense. A little bit of a stretch to complain about it, because if you don't put Nolan in, Vargas is at third, and what if you pull it down the third baseline? Now I'm whining, Vargas didn't make that play at third. You should have had Nolan Arenado in. So it is something to think about, but you kind of understand how you get there. So the Diamondbacks now lose to the Pirates, really frustrating the amount of chances they had in this game and didn't cash in. One of the plays, I don't say this as if it's a favorite target. I just observe and tell you what happened. But the Diamondbacks get the Pirates on the rope in the 6th inning. Carroll leads off with a base hit. Perdomo gets a base hit. You got runners on first and second. Marte gets a 1-out base hit. So now the bases are loaded. Kepler comes up. He went 3 for 5. He gets a 2-run double. So now you got runners on second and third, and you've got Tyler Locklear at the plate. Locklear hits into a fielder's choice, knocks it right back to the shortstop. Here's what drove me nuts. They put on the contact play. I don't mind contact play. With 1 out, I actually kind of like it. Most people hate it. The reason why people hate the contact play is they believe that you're just running into an out. Like, the play is going to be so close that you run into an out when, if it's just a clean base hit, he's going to score anyway. You're going to need a base hit at some point. And I like contact because if it's run correctly, it's really hard to throw the guy out. But the Diamondbacks didn't run it correctly. Why? Because Ketel Marte wasn't focused. You might think contact just means, okay, if the ball is hit, you run. No. What it means is it's almost like you're trying to steal home with the benefit of a ground ball. You want to be leading off of third base, and as soon as the pitcher goes into his motion and he's committed to coming home, You want your player taking what's called a walking lead. But keep in mind, when I say walking lead, it doesn't mean you're actually walking. It means you are starting to jog a little bit home. The only catch is you have to make sure you're not going to get picked off. And I mean more by the catcher than the pitcher. So you are standing on third base, you take your lead. As soon as you're sure the pitcher's coming home, you start moving quickly down the line. Boom, batter swings. As soon as there's contact, you take off. You do all those things, you're going to score. But what can happen is if the catcher throws behind you, you can be thrown out unless as soon as the play happens and you realize there's no contact, you stop and you run back. But you know what? That's tiring. That's hard. That means you have to play the game hard. Because then think about all the running. I'm picking up the pace. I'm going, oh, no contact. Back. And then I got to do it again. And then I got to do it again. And then I got to do it again. And I got to do it every pitch. Oh, that gets tiring. Oh, no, you're a professional athlete. Could tell Marte's walking lead is he literally walked, took 2 steps forward, then the ball was hit, and he wasn't on his front foot to explode like a track athlete. He's leaning back, tries to get started. Perfect throw, perfect tag. He's tagged on the chest right before he hits the plate. Not quite a bang-bang play, but close enough. If he takes a proper walking lead, I guarantee you he scores. If he scores, Diamondbacks win in 9 innings. I don't like that. Then in the 10th inning, just a terrible missed opportunity. Barrosa's on second base as the Manfred man. Corbin Carroll lines out hard to third. That stunk. 1 out. Perdomo grounds out to third, and the third baseman makes a terrible throw. Perdomo's safe at second. Barrosa is safe at third with 1 out. I want to be fair here, and I want to tread lightly on this. When Gabby Moreno is coming up to bat, you do not want to make an out on the base pass, right? You do not want to make an out on the base pass. And a good player is thinking not just who's up at the plate in Geraldo Perdomo, but you're thinking Gabby's coming up next. So I am not going to get thrown out at third. Normally we say it's okay to make the second out at third. You don't make the first out at third because you still have multiple chances of being driven in from second with nobody out. So don't go to third and become the first out. And you never make the third out at third because it's not worth it. If you're standing on third, sure, you can score on a wild pitch, but you can't score on a sac fly with 2 outs because if they catch it, it's the third out. So there's no reason to be aggressive to get yourself to third base and make the third out. Stay on second because you need a base hit to score you anyway. Those are the reasons why you don't make the first and third out at third. You really never want to make an out at third, and then you say you never really want to make it out at all. But at least if there's a time to be aggressive, it's okay with 1 out because you'll be making the second out at third. Well, here's why I bring all that up. Barrosa is standing on second as the Manfred man when Perdomo grounds out to third. Barrosa does not kind of walk quietly to third or do anything to get to third, because sometimes what you'll do is if you have speed, and Barrosa allegedly has speed, as soon as the third baseman lets go of that ball, it's like pickle when you were a boy, when you were a kid. As soon as he lets go of the ball to first, you bust it to third. Now the first baseman's got to catch the ball without pulling his foot or Perdomo's safe. So keep your foot on the bag, catch the ball, then step off and throw to third. Third baseman's got to catch a good throw and tag you out. If you're fast and you've got a good lead from second, you should be able to make it to third. Well, here's why I bring that up. The third base throw was terrible. If Barroso was trying to take third, he scores on the air, and the Diamondbacks get that all-important first run in the top of the 10th. Not going to say they would have won the game, but they would get that important run. And Barroso didn't do that. Barroso was scared. And I want to, like I said, be fair. Can't make that out at third when you've got Moreno coming up to bat next. And you have to be thinking, he doesn't know an error is coming, but he's got to be thinking, if I'm on second base, I'm in scoring position with the way Moreno's playing. And you're right, you are. But I would like to have seen a little more engagement. I looked at it as a guy that says, oh, I can't go. Not as a guy, I might try it, I might try it, I might try it. No, it won't work. Or I might try it, I might try it. Here I go. When you just kind of stand there, I know you're not really trying. You're not really thinking, wait, can I get there? Can I get there? You're not fully engaged. And a true competitor is always fully engaged. So that hurt. But how can you get on Gabby Moreno? The guy's been one of the hotter hitters in all of Major League Baseball. He had a crappy day, worked a nice walk, but went 0 for 4 yesterday, 2 strikeouts, and a huge strikeout in the 10th inning. Runners on second and third, only 1 out. Sack fly available. Base hit, scores 2. He doesn't do either. Now with first base open, they walk Marte. And then Kepler, who's been incredibly hot, 3 for 4 going into the at-bat. Doesn't hit a sharp line drive, but it wasn't a fly ball. He got a hold of it, lined out to center. Game's over. Well, I shouldn't say game's over, but the Pirates made it game over when Ildemaro Vargas can't make the play at first. So now the Diamondbacks have lost 3 in a row. They haven't made a move for a pitcher, and they're only a game up on St. Louis and Washington. So if you want to stay in that spot, you got to win today. You got to win today. Tori, what happened yesterday? Because it seemed like, it was a clean game other than the Merrill error, but there are just areas where the small things are why you lost.
Maybe the errant pickoff throw. I mean, when you drop into that level and you're looking at the minutia and the small little details, which we do, everything matters in this game. The Reynolds at bat, it's a 50-50 ball, whether you put him on intentionally, or I think Loiza's got nasty stuff with 2 strikes. We made a mistake there. There's other small, very small details, but these guys fight, and that's what I'm proud of them for.
Yeah. One thing to be positive about in this loss is Merrill Kelly was not the reason for the loss. 5 2/3 of an inning, 1 earned run. Not good enough to say he's the ace, but considering the starting pitching they've gotten a lot this year, that was very well received.
I think the first couple batters, that was very apparent that he had a good feel for that changeup. There was some swing and miss, some early weak contact. So you got to be able to throw the changeup and secondary stuff in this ballpark to left-handed hitters, and he did a good job. I think things just got away from him there in the 6th. I was at some point in this game, I was contemplating, how far he could go and could he pitch through 7. That's where we were. But then it got pitch count climbed very quickly there, and he did his job.
What did you say was going on with Merrill there when you guys went out to talk to him?
Yeah, he had a little upset stomach. He kind of got back on his feet and felt good enough to continue pitching. But I think that had a little impact on him late. I think he, the stuff was really good all night long, and then those last couple batters, I think it fell off a little bit, in my opinion.
So when you talk about the 6th inning, I didn't know that watching the game, but when you hear them say he got a little sick to his stomach, but then he got his legs again, that's code for he threw up and went back out there. But his 6th inning, it got crazy fast. He gives up a base hit, and then he already had 1 pickoff in the 4th. He's trying it again in the 6th. Made a terrible throw. It was almost like he changed his mind on throwing and kind of spiked it, and it went way up the right field line. So now you basically turned that single into a triple. And with a runner on third, he gives up another single, and now you've got a run scored. And even though that's only 1 run, it started to get hairy quick with a fielder's choice guy on first. And you're thinking, all right, this could be a little bit of a mess. but it was still a righty coming up. Triolo had already checked into the game because Valdez had been hit by a pitch and he didn't wear it very well, so he left the game. I'm not all that intimidated of taking. I'd rather have the Merrill Kelly versus Triolo battle. I think that's something that he should have just let breathe a little bit. I didn't really like taking Merrill Kelly out right there. I realize Merrill had 93 pitches, and in today's world, we're all going to die if you get too close to 100. But I would have let him go one more batter against Triolo and see how he did. And if I'm wrong, well, if I'm right, the inning's over. And if I'm wrong, okay, fine. I'm certainly not letting him pitch to O'Hearn, the lefty. But I think he blew that one. I think he should have let him pitch one more guy. And by the way, Murillo came in and walked the guy that I thought that Merrill should have faced. So Diamondbacks now take on the Pirates today, 3:40. I really want to see Brandon Pfaadt throw well. The bullpen has been beat up a lot with a lot of innings lately, and nobody getting any outs in the seventh in a long time. This is a big one. This is a big one for Brandon Pfaadt. Let's see what he can do. All right, coming up next, it's a Town Hall Tuesday, and I'm doing pretty well on versus Vegas on Doug Franz Unplugged, presented by Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass.
Here is Sue Rigler on starting 100 Mile Brewing Company.
What started 100 Mile Brewing Company is I actually have a degree in microbiology from ASU. Go Devils. And went back to school. I found out that UC San Diego had a brewing program, so I enrolled in that. And with the intention of opening a brewery, I came back to Tempe because it's Sun Devil country. I wanted to open a brewery in Tempe, which fresh, it never gets old is our tagline. And I'm pretty much a stickler about fresh beer. It's got to be fresh. Otherwise, it's not going to be served here.
At Goodyear Fit Body Bootcamp, our number one goal is to get our members results. So because the goal is results, all of our memberships are unlimited session count. We never limit sessions for our members. In fact, we celebrate session attendance. So because of that, we keep memberships very simple. We have standard weekly or monthly rates, and we do offer a bit of a discount if somebody's interested in a longer term commitment, like 6 months. We strive to inspire fitness and change lives every day.
Hear ye, oh yay, oh yay. It's time to call a town hall meeting.
It's a Town Hall Tuesday. Jennifer is here to do her job, even though I was not here to do mine yesterday. So I appreciate your commitment to the Unplugged Army.
My pleasure.
How was your day at work?
Great and productive.
Oh, that's nice.
How was your day here?
At times great, at times frustrating, at times productive, at times unproductive.
Sounds like a normal day in human life.
Yeah, but I don't accept that.
Oh, no.
I guess I don't have any thrilling stories or anything since nothing happened in my day. I don't think I told you. Did I tell you that Cam asked me to be on TV Thursday? So I have 12 News on Thursday. And then he did send me an email of all of the dates that I am on 12 News.
Okay.
So we're set there.
Let's go.
Excited that I was invited back for another season. Thank you, Unplugged Army, for all the tweets you send out that help promote it, that might be influencing people at 12 News. All right.
And look at you being all romantic over there.
That I'm having wine with you?
You always say you drink wine to be romantic.
Oh, yes. Yes, we'll see what my chances are. Since you brought up romance, I'm feeling romantic in my gym shorts and old school Fushaw t-shirt.
You're so sexy.
Oh, I wish you meant it.
Okay, we're going to start with General Mike.
Yeah, you just moved on. That's a wonderful transition. I'm sure Mike's happy.
Hi, Mike.
I have no idea what to say right now. Here we go.
Well, I'll speak instead.
Okay.
A couple of baseball things. Scoring question. I was watching a game.
Obviously, I'm not.
You're not what?
Nothing.
A couple of things, baseball. Scoring question. I get it. I can't even do this. Oh.
I got to admit, normally my jokes aren't funny with
your jokes.
Yeah, jokes aren't funny when you need flashcards, but I've never seen the 10-second delay live before like that.
I was watching a game the other day and a player hit one into the gap and went for second. The outfielder got to it and threw it in just a bit late, and the runner was called safe. However, given that hardly any major league player knows how to properly slide anymore, he slid head first, grabbed the bag, but as he went past the point, his hand could reach the base, and before his knee continued contact with the base, he was totally off for a second while being tagged. The play was challenged and overturned to an out. So technically, he was safe at second, but was called later out, presumably leaving second for third. How would you officially score this? Seems to me like it should be a double, not a single. When you were a high school Harry, did you start your around the horn by throwing to second or shortstop? We always went first, short, second, third, pitcher on outs at first base. Now he switches to soccer. So do you want to answer that?
So I'll answer the first two. Number one, the scoring decision is scored a single, and then I don't know what outfield. You said the outfielder, so I'll just say it's the center fielder. I don't know, and I don't know who caught it, but let's say it was the shortstop. So then it would be scored single, out 8-6, and that's it. There's nothing else to it. The reason why it's not a double is because, in a sense, he was never safe. You said he was ruled safe, and then it was overruled on appeal because of replay showed that he had slid off the bag. He never made a motion towards second. If he would have been safe at second, rounded the bag, and then changed his mind on going to third, and they threw it behind him and tagged him, yes, that's a double. And then he would be out 8-6. But since he was out on the slide into second, that's still part of the chance to get a double. So he did not get a double. So it's single, out 8-6, out 7-4, out 9-6. However, the outfielder infield combination would have been there at second base.
Thanks. I like that. That's really helpful.
To understand that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you did a good job explaining where he was coming and not. Yeah. I just thought, that was great. Sorry, I'm not going to rehash it, but I'm impressed with your answer and I like it.
Okay. So then I'm good. So maybe I will score on the scoring decision. So then how would you, the next one you said, when I was high school, Harry shortstop, the modern way that everybody does it is the first baseman throws it to the second baseman. I, as a first baseman, thought that was dumb because I'm not really getting to throw. And I want to be involved and I want to throw. So we would throw the ball to shortstop. And then the shortstop threw it to second, second threw it to third. I do think that's wrong to do it that way, and I enjoy doing it wrong. The only time I lose my mind is when somebody other than the third baseman throws the ball to the pitcher. That's how people get killed. That's how you'll lose it. Like, there should be punishment if somebody on the team loses a toe, something like that. You should never have somebody other than the third baseman throw the ball to the pitcher. That's when it's going around the horn. Now, the one thing that we also did, which is against all sense of the game, and I liked it, if there was a strikeout, the catcher threw it to third. The catcher throwing it to first is dumb. The catcher threw it to third. But then the third baseman did not throw it to the shortstop. He threw it to the second baseman to short, short to first, first to third, and then, of course, the third baseman turned it in. So on both of our around the horns, the first baseman was involved, mostly because the first baseman was very loud and annoying when he wasn't involved and therefore demanded it. All right, the soccer question.
Shifting gears, one change in soccer that I'd like to see that I know you won't agree with as a defender is to change the offsides rule from no body part that can legally play the ball can be closer to the goal line than any body part of the second to last defender that can legally play the ball when the ball is played, to any part of the attacking player can be even with any part of the second to last defender when the ball is played. This is more like the hockey blue line, where guys only need any part of their body still over the blue line. Nearly all of the offsides ruled out goals in this World Cup would have counted, and I think it makes more competitive sense. Plus, the VAR reviews would be sped up. General Mike.
It's funny you said you assumed I wouldn't like it just because there would be fewer offsides. I don't care what the rule is, just make sure that it stays consistent. I think that they changed the rule too much. If you don't quite understand what General Mike is saying, in soccer, one of the criteria for being offsides is, or I should say to stay onsides, is that you are not behind the last defender. I hope that makes sense. Technically, the rule is there has to be two players between you and the goal line. But unless the goalie is like running around all over the place, you know the goalie's back there. So we don't really say two players. We just say the last defender. So as long as the last defender is there. Now, what they've changed with the rule is they say since your hand does not play the ball, your hand can be offsides. Your arm can be offsides. But as you lean forward, your head can't be. Your shoulder, you can actually play the ball with your shoulder. Your shoulder can't be. The rest of your body can't be offsides. So that's why you would see those images with the fake blue wall, and sometimes a player's hand is through the blue wall or arm, but it was ruled onside. And what General Mike is saying is the hockey rule is I'm allowed to have 98% of my body offsides in hockey. And as long as I have a toe touching the blue line, something touching the blue line, I'm still onside. I'm still okay. So his opinion is just don't be all the way offsides. For me, I don't care. Just keep the rule. So I think when you change it every 2 or 3 years, that just gets annoying. And I don't like it. Now, if you want something controversial that seemed to work, the NASL was the original North American Soccer League, and they changed the rule. They had an arbitrary line on the field called the 35-yard line. And one of the aspects of offsides is you can never be offsides on your own half of the field. Well, they went by you can never be offsides on your own side of the 35-yard line, which meant you got to be a lot closer, and in their opinion, kind of spread the game out a little bit. But really what it did is it kind of compacted the defense in a way that you had to keep defenders back. So then there was more play in the middle of the field, but less attacking. The reason why that is if the attacking team has the ball in your penalty area, they can pass it back to their defenders who are a lot closer because they're standing in front of midfield and they're part of the attack. The 35-yard line means your defenders are too far away to be part of the attack. And when that's the case, it actually leads to a more boring game. It sounds like, wow, there's a better chance for a breakaway. It's more exciting, but it's the exact opposite because you end up without defenders helping in the attack. And then there's just a lot of turnovers in the middle of the field, but the defense never gets burnt because they're always back. And it actually leads to less scoring. So there you go. I don't care about the offsides rule. Just keep it consistent.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Good answer. Good answer.
I've never tried out for Family Feud before, so thank you.
Hey, Doug, this is Hannah, the bartender from the wedding. I told my husband about the conversation we had. You guys might have quite a bit in common. He drinks beer and bourbon. He plays golf every Thursday. He played college football. He loves all things sports. So cool meeting you.
So I was at my cousin's wedding in Muncie, Indiana on Saturday, home of Ball State University. And as it's been pointed out, South Carolina never plays Oregon and Ball State never plays Moorhead. But I was thrilled. This woman's a lot of fun. This woman was a lot of fun. She was delivering drinks to somebody else at a table next to us. And then I tried to get her to deliver drinks to my table, at which she just flat out said no, which I was actually respected, even though I didn't act like it. And she was fun. And we started talking. And I just joked and said, next time you're in Arizona, I'll buy you a beer. And she remarked, oh my gosh, I was just there 2 years ago. And I said, well, that's soon. Like somebody says, like, because they think it's far, Arizona to Indiana, that means 2 years ago was soon. And of course, I don't remember the last time I was in Indiana before. I don't remember the last time I was in Indiana. I don't think I've been in Indiana.
Probably just driving through it.
I don't think I've been in the last time was I've driven to Dayton once from Phoenix, so that would have been it.
Did you go through Indiana though?
Yeah, because you take I-40 to Oklahoma City, and then you take 44 to St. Louis, and then you take then you take I-70 through Indiana. Okay. Anyway, she was just wonderful, and then seeing that her husband played football, and she sent a picture, and it's a big dude. So he looks like a defensive lineman. He could obviously be an offensive lineman, but he looked like a defensive lineman. So I'm completely enthralled in watching ball with him and learning the game from him. So I'm totally interested in having you guys visit. I invited them out, but I forgot that the guest room is being used at the time that I invited them out. So they'll have to stay at the Wigwam, or they can stay at Whirlwind. There you go.
Or we can shuffle some things around.
Oh, you're very
Just
nice.
have a bunch of people.
Wow, that's exactly like your personality. That's wonderful.
I have a glass of wine.
Oh, I see. So we're a very giving person.
Be held
and she's a bartender, so this is great.
Oh, hey, okay. Well, we can have
we
a discussion.
We don't have a bar in the house, but you can tend it.
All right. Mark B says, after this latest loss, do you still believe in Torey Lovello?
Wow, interesting question. I will never back down on my previous opinion, which I said to you last year. I don't want Torey and Cattell. One of them, in my opinion, had to go. And admittedly, when they swept the Dodgers and then played well against the Cardinals after the break, I started to think maybe there's a recantation in my future. And now they're on a 3-game losing streak. And you're like, oh, see, and it might come down to the very end again and they fall apart, which seems exactly like what is happening. But I still say Cattell is the one to go, and I think it's one of the great failures of Mike Hazen. I think Mike Hazen's a good general manager, but I think he really failed, and the number one reason why he failed, I understand people weren't giving him a lot for Ketel Marte, and I understand he's sitting there thinking, why would I trade this much potential for pennies on the dollar, basically? I get it, and GMs are judged by that. There's a very good chance you trade Ketel Marte. It motivates him. He's so angry. He leaves, goes somewhere else and starts raking, and you forever look like an idiot because you knew what you were getting back was never going to be as good as a motivated Ketel Marte. But what a lot of GMs have a hard time understanding is your vision of a motivated Ketel Marte is not the Ketel Marte you have. It's the Ketel Marte they would have. And I think it's egotistical to keep him because you're saying, I don't want to be judged knowing it's going to go poorly. And he's probably right, but you're still worried about how people look at you instead of what's best for the team. Now, in case you're wondering, he can only be traded with his approval. I can't remember whether it was April or May, but this year he earned his 10-5 rights.
It was May. Like the first week of
very
May,
good.
if
Okay,
memory serves, because this came up on Town Hall Tuesday.
Oh.
It was like right at the beginning of May.
You're awesome to remember that. So it's not a clause in his contract. It's a clause in the CBA, the agreement between players and owners, that any player that has 10 years of service time, the last 5 with the same organization, automatically can block any trade. So anybody that says the Diamondbacks should trade Ketel Marte, you're right. It doesn't matter, though. If he doesn't want to go, he doesn't have to. And he's the type of guy that doesn't want the pressures, in my opinion, of where he would be going. And therefore, I don't think he's going to accept anything. So it's a long answer, Mark B., but just to say, yes, I do. I believe Torey Lovello is not the problem. That's why I don't fire Torey Lovello. There's a lot of things I disagree with him about. I'll never agree with him on some of his sacrifice bunt decisions and some of the other things he does, but that doesn't mean I believe fire him and another guy's going to come in and do better.
So we just have Ketel till he decides he doesn't want to be here
until
anymore?
the end of his contract, really, and then you hope that.
How long is this contract?
I believe I have to look it up now that you asked because I want to make sure that I get it right. But I believe he has two more years. I believe that he signed last year a 4-year extension. So I think this is the year. I was dead wrong. He signed a 6-year extension. That seems like death. I was hoping it was 4. So it's even worse than that. It's a 6-year. Wow. I'm not a knowledgeable person. It's a 6-year extension with a player option, an $11 million player option. So
a player option, but no team option?
Correct. That means he can decide if he wants to stay, whether the Diamondbacks want him to or not. However, this is the year 2031 we're talking about. So if he accepts it, though, he's also accepting an $11 million pay cut. He gets $22 million in 2030. He gets $11 million in 2031. And when you hear these prices, you can kind of understand it's a very odd contract because he gets a pay cut next year. He goes from $16 million to $12 million. But then in 2028, he jumps up to $20 million. And in 2029 and 2030, he jumps up to $22 million. If he's having a down year now, I can't imagine how bad that contract is going to look in 2029 when they're paying him $22 million.
Do they have to keep him at this level or can they send him down?
They can send him down. And he can, technically you can't send him down, but you can. What you have to do first is when you send a veteran down, you have to put him on waivers. And then anybody can claim him, which they wouldn't do because then it would be for the full contract. Because if he's doing so bad to need to go to the minors, no one's going to say, I'll pay you all that money. Then he clears waivers. Now he can be sent down if he doesn't do one other thing, declare himself a free agent. If a veteran is sent down to the minors, they can declare themselves a free agent after they clear waivers.
Even in a 6-year contract?
Yes. Yes, because it's called options, and he doesn't have any left. You have options during your first 3 years that you can be sent down without clearing waivers. After that, you have to clear waivers. And once you clear waivers, you can declare yourself a free agent. Now, he could say, I don't want to be a free agent. I accept going to Reno. But name a player who would do that. And none of those scenarios I laid out for you changes the money. The Diamondbacks owe him the money no matter what. That money in baseball is guaranteed.
It doesn't change to his new team if he becomes a free agent?
Whatever at the time major league minimum is, that would go to the new team. So let's say magically the Reds claim him on waivers. Reds pay the whole contract. Let's say magically he's on waivers, clears waivers. The Diamondbacks then want to send him down. He declares himself a free agent and signs with the Reds. Let's say major league minimum is $1 million. The Reds only owe him $1 million, and but he is still owed $22 million, and the Diamondbacks are on the hook for the other 21.
Okay, that makes sense.
Great questions.
Hey, Doug, I really enjoyed Friday's show. I appreciated your Doug's Big One on Friday. You did a great job with that subject, and I appreciate you talking about it. I have a lot of issues with the WNBA, and now that article that we can discuss over drinks next time we meet up. Couple of questions regarding the D-backs. Would you sell? The moment I feel like we should buy, they go out and have a series against the Nationals and look terrible. If we were to sell, who would you sell? I don't feel like we have a lot of pieces people would want other than Cattell, Perdomo, and Carroll.
Oh, hey, nice job.
And thank you, Brett, for only putting last names. I appreciate you. Also, why did the D-backs not put pressure on opposing...
Wait, I have to stop you. He only used one last name, or he only used 2 last names. It's Cattell Marte.
Yeah.
So you were just happy with Perdomo.
See, he wrote it like I changed the last Town Hall Tuesdays.
Oh, maybe he looks ahead or looks back.
No, maybe just people do things differently than you, and you should just accept it.
I see. Geraldo Perdomo.
Also, why do the D-backs not put pressure on opposing teams with their speed like they did in 2023? I feel like that was a big reason they made a run to the World Series, and I heard on the broadcast that Carroll only has 13 stolen bases. Thanks for the show that you put out. I always enjoy listening. Best regards, Brett.
Let's start with the beginning, WNBA. I really appreciate that because I hated the topic, but I That was my number one opinion, and I felt like it needed to be talked about, and I really appreciate you acknowledging that and listening to it. Number two, the WNBA must be the most incredible league in the history of sports, because I've never seen a bigger collection of people that are more clueless on marketing, sports, and communications than that league, and yet it's still surviving and thriving. So that's just amazing. The ridiculousness of the media covering that at times amazes me. I do give a lot of credit, though, locally. Josh Weinfuss, when Dana Scott was covering that beat for the Arizona Republic, and Steven, and I don't remember how to say Steven's last name, from PHNX, they just cover it like a sport. They don't get into the political battles of it. They're very fair, and they just treat the players like athletes, and if you like it or don't like it, take it or leave it, there it is. So I really respect them. The DBACKS situation, would I buy or sell? Yes. And here's why I mean that. I can make you an argument that, like right now, let's look at the standings. I brought it up in 4-minute offense, but Pirates and Diamondbacks are tied right now for the final wild card spot. Cardinals and Washington are tied for the next spot, meaning they're just out of the playoffs, and they're only one game back of Diamondbacks Pirates. Then San Diego, who's a game and a half back, and then Miami, who's 2 games back. So you have 6 teams for one spot, all within 2 games of each other. Now,
the Diamondbacks and Pirates are tied, and they're playing.
Correct.
Ooh,
and the Pirates have won game 1 of the 3-game series.
Right.
So, yeah.
So now they're not tied, right? Or
no.
tying.
They tied Monday night. They tied. So as someone's listening to this going into Tuesday's game, they are tied.
They're tied now because the Pirates won.
Because the Pirates won last night.
Okay,
right?
thank you.
So in answer of your question, the reason why I say would I buy or sell, and the answer is yes, I'm listening. And I'm also asking. So if I can make a deal I like, and I'm giving up prospects for a major designated hitter or a major first baseman or a major starting pitcher, I'm now buying. If I can get a great deal, I'm buying.
Who has those people that they would be willing to give up?
Almost everybody. The question becomes, are they willing to quit? Are they ready to get out? That's who a seller is. They know they're not in it anymore. A week ago, the Padres sold. And then the Padres won a bunch of games, and now they're not selling. But their closer, if you can get your hands on their closer, that's the guy everybody was going after. The Red Sox were dead in the water 3 weeks ago, and they won about 14 in a row or something, and now they're right in it. So they went from seller to buyer before they ever sold anything. So it all depends on who we're talking about. Gossman is my favorite topic or target, a pitcher from the Blue Jays. That's who I would really like. So, but he's going to be expensive. You're going to have to give up some good prospects. So if you can get somebody, go get them. However, on the total flip side, I'm the type of general manager, quote unquote, fake general manager. Everybody's for sale, but I want your firstborn if you want Perdomo or Carroll. Okay, they're ridiculously low on the list of potential trades for me. Everybody else, let's talk. There's not one person other than them I would hide from everybody else, including even Ryan Waldschmidt, young guys. I don't care. You blow me away with a deal, somehow I'm immediately a seller. And I would even be saying that if I'm Mike Hazen, because there's nothing wrong with showing your cards when you have 2 hands. You know?
Yeah.
So show them the sales card, show them the buy card, but whatever's the best deal, take that. Oh, I forgot the last one. I have no idea.
Why they're not putting pressure?
I have never agreed with the decision to back off the run game. Some of it was some of the guys that are fast are injured. Some of it is the analytic belief that stealing bases leads to outs. And it's a player is a bigger threat at the plate than they are running the bases. Why make outs? And I totally disagree with that, because this goes into the issues of analytics versus the human being. If the other team is worried sick about you running around, I believe pitchers pitch less effective. I believe they make errors on pickoffs. I believe they try more pickoffs, which could lead to errors. I believe catchers don't frame pitches as well. Not as big of an issue in the ABS world, but in the past, they jump out of their crouch. The umpire doesn't see it. Maybe it's a ball now. There's so many, to me, advantages to running that I never believe in slow teams. I hate the St. Louis Cardinals. I always have because I was a Mets fan for a long time. But I love the Willie McGee, Vince Coleman, fast Cardinals of the early to mid 80s. I think that's the way baseball should be played without the AstroTurf.
Doug, I understand the Diamondbacks are the wild card right now, and that makes me happy. But can they stay in the race with a bullpen that could not get out a single A team? Is it Puck, P-U-K?
I believe so.
Okay. Is Puck returning this year? Pick up some help at the deadline? Are they buyers or sellers? Hard to say. Are you okay? Jamie, Flagstaff Scout for the Unplugged Army.
Okay, number one, I thought you were talking about something else. So 100%, yes, it is Puck.
Okay.
It's A.J. Puck, the reliever, but I kind of thought you were
okay.
saying something else and wasn't paying attention. I thought I was listening and I wasn't. So it doesn't look like A.J. Puck is returning this year. I will look that up to be official because whenever you ask about injuries, I want to make sure that I'm right. But I don't believe he is going to return, but he was expected to return.
What was his injury?
He had Tommy John at the end of last year.
Okay.
So then there is pickup help. Are they buyers or sellers? Same answer as before. I say it's basically what kind of deal am I going to be able to get on that? That would make that decision for me. And I would disagree with you when you talk negatively about the bullpen. Whenever the bullpen blows it, we automatically blame the bullpen, as we should. I mean, do your job. But when a team is throwing two rookie starting pitchers that rarely go 5 innings, suddenly now your bullpen is pitching 13, 14 innings a series. That means the other team gets more looks at your bullpen. And when they see more of your players more often, they have a better chance of hitting them. Also, your relievers are more tired, so they have a better chance of hitting them. Or a lot of times when you're really tired, your ball has too much movement. So then you can't throw it for strikes, and now you've got to come back with a fastball in a fastball count right when the batter is waiting for the fastball, and that leads to more offense. So all of those things go into it because of the fact that Zach Gallen is hurt, and when he is healthy, totally ineffective. That we've never seen Corbin Burns. That Michael Soroka was having a fantastic season, and now he's been hurt for a long time. And you had the struggles of Brandon Pfaadt early. Ryan Nelson is now injured. You have a 5-man pitching rotation, and at times, most of this season, 40 to 60% of that rotation has been out. So that stresses the bullpen. To me, it's a miracle they are this good. You're right, they are starting to flame out, but I don't blame the individuals. I blame the injuries, and I don't normally blame trainers for injuries, but at some point somebody has to start looking at the Diamondback strength, conditioning, and training staff and say, okay, why have we been ravaged by injuries for 5 straight years? Like, everybody gets injured. It happens to every team. But this is a consistent trend with this organization, and I don't think they're looking at it hard enough.
At Pearman33 says, thoughts and prayers, my friend. I'm flying them tomorrow. Bounce back day tomorrow.
I forgot to answer Jamie's question, too. Am I okay? I think he asked that in response to me missing the show yesterday. If you really want to know, my neck really hurts, and my back really hurts. Flying on a plane 4 times in a week and a half is a lot for me. But that's just whining. Suck it up. So I am okay, Jamie. And then I had tweeted American Airlines just saying, hey, what are we doing? My flight home last week was 2 hours delayed. My flight home this week is an hour and a half delayed. Let's try to pick this up. And then they apologized, said how hard they worked to keep things on time. And I said, I forgive, just give me a beer and we'll call it even. And they did not give me a beer. So I'm not a fan right now. But they did email me or tweet me again and ask me, they said they'd like to talk about it. So it's nothing a free flight to Maui can't fix. But Pearman, I really like what you said. Bounce back day tomorrow. That's really cool. Bad day today. That has nothing to do with tomorrow. Let's go. Let's get fired up. And I hope everything goes well for you on your flight.
And Duck of Death 6 says, thanks for letting us know.
I tweeted very late in the day, sometime around noon, hey, no show today.
Oh,
I have failed everybody. And Duck of Death, I really appreciate that. I should have there's only one thing I hate more than failing again the same way. And that's exactly what I did. I have had this happen to me where I flew out somewhere, there was a problem, and just didn't have it to be able to do the show. And I kept trying all night last night, and I would work for a little bit, sleep for 45 minutes, work for a little bit, sleep for 45 minutes. And finally at 4 a.m, I still wasn't mentally coherent, because here's the thing. If I make a mistake and say something the wrong way, it could be the end. Even though I'm my own guy, I could be the end of any future potential opportunities. And I can't make that mistake. So I don't want to do the show exhausted and tired. And I feel selfish doing that. There's nothing wrong if I just would have tweeted out last night, this isn't going to work today. I'm so sorry. And yet that's not what I did. I tried to make it work and I just fell on my face.
We have a couple of other people that have your back. General Stavos says, we with you. And Jean Lily 14 says, no worries, Doug. Travel can be a nightmare sometimes. We get it.
Both of those meant the world to me. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And I'm glad to be back today.
And speaking of American Airlines, they said, hi there. Our DMs are open. When you have a moment, please send us your confirmation code and flight number. We'd like to take a closer look at your experience and review it with you.
You know what? I will send you something. I have no idea what my confirmation code is, but I'll send you my flight number. And I'm reasonably positive you have my name, because this is America now. And with all of the rules and regulations, you can find out where I flew and where I was. I have your flight number memorized of all the times I had to type it in trying to check your status. No, that's funny. Now, as far as taking a look at the experience, I'll tell you the experience. Fire the pilot that sat in front of me. That's my experience. There you go.
And then Merrick M says, American commenting on this, and he has a laughing emoji. Only on this show would we have a 20-plus minute show opening about lettuce, sitting on the toilet, and iPad euchre. I also made it through the whole show. Beers on Doug.
I disagree. I said I owe everyone a beer. So beers plural for other members of the Unplugged Army, Merrick M, but not beers for you. I buy you one beer. And I will call out every member of the Unplugged Army. Merrick M is the only one that tweeted me that he listened to the whole show Friday. Because I said at the end of the show, if you've made it all the way through, I owe you a beer. So I was a little hurt that I didn't owe more people beer on that.
Well, maybe Dr. Ridpath was listening, unless he's referring to something else. He said a beer would be nice.
I think he was just reading the tweet. He listens every now and then, but I think he read the tweet in regards to American Air. But I was thrilled to hear from him. For those of you that don't know, he is the man that runs the best sports administration school in the country, and it is at the First Ohio University.
Okay. AA, the airline of, quote, join us in DMs, unquote, because listening to a traveler's disparaging remarks via a phone call is simply not in their playbook. SMH at Townie33.
Townie33, I will say this. I reached out to them via Twitter, so I don't have a problem with them reaching back out and saying, okay, DM us. Because I didn't volunteer to call them. Now, if I would have called them and they got put me on hold for millions of years because they didn't want to hear it, then I would have had a problem. It was weird though. Both instances were maintenance issues. So I do want to say, hey, I would rather fly late after fixing maintenance issues than fly on time with maintenance issues. Okay.
Because you might not be flying anymore.
Exactly. So
not by choice.
If you like, they have no chance of me as a repeat customer if the plane goes down. They at least have a chance of me as a repeat customer if they just alienate me. But I think I just think there's so much better ways to do communication. I think it is there is a flaw when it happens on back-to-back Sundays. Granted, 2 different routes, so maybe 2 different planes involved. I get it, but what are we doing here? I mean, that's a little bit of a step up issue, and I do think when you screw a client back-to-back weeks, there should be something. You have the technology, if you care enough, to do a search of your entire database of customers and say, this customer has flown 2 or 3, 4 times this month, and every flight was late. Hey, we've noticed your flight's been late. We have the AI technology to do that. We noticed your flight was late on back-to-back Sundays. We're really sorry. Here's what we'd like to offer you. Now, I realize they're not going to offer me a totally free flight just on a couple late flights, but it could be, would you like a drink ticket? Would you like a first class meal? Would you like a first class upgrade whenever there's room? Would you like, they could be doing something.
They could just even be doing something simple like throwing some extra points at you onto your account.
Just to show me,
or
hey,
allowing
we
you
noticed.
to fly, like waiving the blackout dates they have.
Yeah.
Like it seems like all of their blackout dates are all the times we need to travel.
Right. They could easily, just acknowledging, we know you've been loyal and we've screwed this up. Take your pick and make it a couple different things.
But I also know people on various airlines lately who have had their flights canceled. So thank God our flights haven't been canceled.
That's true.
So that's a good thing. But I just think it's ever since COVID, that industry has just been hit so hard. Yeah. It's sad they haven't rebounded in 6 years, but you're right.
And I say beer fixes everything, and they didn't. Like, I was going to be, I can accept, I don't like a lot of IPAs. I accept Goose. Goose Island IPA is pretty good. I would never choose it over good beers. But if it's on there and that's all you've got, I won't get up and leave the table. I'll drink Goose. And I told them after they said they were sorry, I said, hey, this is nothing a Goose can't fix. And again, why not find my seat? You don't even have to tell a soul, and the flight attendant puts a Goose down on my tray. How would that not impress you? That would impress me. And then I would have immediately tweeted out, upon landing, of course, that I was made very happy by the people at American.
General Craig says, Doug, hope to have something on Tuesday. Not expecting a Monday show. Get your rest.
I wish I would have read General Craig's tweet because he sent that early in the problems of the flight. So he knew right then this is going to be a problem to do a show on Monday. And that's real support. And I really appreciate that, to know that ahead of time, that it was going to be awfully tough, because I didn't want to do a show when I hadn't listened to any Cardinals press conferences and I hadn't watched 3 Diamondbacks games. So then I get home, I watch 3 Diamondbacks games, I listened to 5 press conferences, and now I'm exhausted. Plus I'm on Eastern time, so it's 6 a.m. for me, body clock wise, and I just died. And I hate it, and I'm embarrassed.
I'm glad you're still alive. It's always a great conversation with Bobby Mack, but today's in particular, that was July 23rd, was one that I especially appreciated. In discussing the press conference with Miles Bridges and the lack of Matt Ishbia at the table, it really brought forward the ways that there are so many factors to consider besides the stats. While Mel's focus was on off-court matters related to domestic violence, as a fan, we need to remember that these players are human and that humanity includes their work ethic, their demeanor toward others, etc. That in turn impact the on-court stats. Thanks again for all you do. Awesome conversation with @HBulzer721 regarding the Cardinals QB situation. Even from a non-Cards fan perspective, I love the analysis. #UnpluggedArmy. Discord Brian.
Very, very well appreciated email. I too loved that conversation with Bobby Mack. And what I really loved about it, and I hope you felt the same way as a member of the Unplugged Army, a lot of times Bobby Mack and I will talk for 45 minutes, and 35 minutes of it's kind of goofy. And I like that. It's just fun. Two guys at a bar talking. But at any moment it can change. And that subject of Miles Bridges, he was very passionate about. And I thought he was very well spoken, very entertaining. And I don't mean that as like a vaudeville act. I mean, very infotaining is a way to put it. It was very deep, very passionate, and it shows you never know when we talk what it's going to be. And I think it's kind of funny sometimes I'm going off the deep end and then he'll rip me. Does it really matter, Doug? Does it really matter? And yeah, to me it does. And on that one, I was kind of I thought, yeah, you're right. But when somebody else is the one that's passionate about it, I don't get passionate about, yeah, you're right. It's hard for somebody to be so right about something I never thought of that then in turn makes me want to agree with them so much that I'm now trying to lead the charge. I'm just like, yeah, you're right. I'll stand behind you on that one. And as long as I have a beer, I don't get all that motivated by it. But I thought that was really good.
Happy Town Hall Tuesday.
Oh, I didn't realize that was it.
Happy Town Hall Tuesday.
It's time for versus Vegas. Excuse me, sir. Do you have any Grey Poupon? No, I'd like to dance. I don't know why I said that. Oh, yeah. Oh, how's that taste? How about that? So on Thursday, we went 3-0, feeling pretty good. Pretty good. Actually, that's not right. It was Tuesday we went 3-0. Wednesday, we went 2-1. Thursday, we weren't sure. We were at 1-1, waiting to see if Scotty Scheffler finished in the top 5. He finished second, so we got that one. So we went 2-1 for Thursday. Friday's show, we took the A's on the money line. They won 2-0, so we got that one. Then we took Detroit to cover the 2.5 against the Royals. Tigers they won, but they didn't cover. They won 2-1, so we lost that one. And then I told you that the San Diego Strike Force of the IFL already has the number 1 seed clinched. They're happy. They're fat and happy on the farm. And Tucson's not great, but they're not a disaster when they're getting ready to play San Diego next week. I think they're going to bring it. I thought the 8.5 was too big of a spread. We took Tucson plus the 8.5. San Diego won, but they only won by 4. So Tucson loses and we win. Now that's a great day in life when Tucson loses and we win. So that's why I clapped 4 times, because we hadn't counted Thursday yet. So we went 2-1 on Thursday, 2-1 on Friday. We had a 4-2 long weekend. Didn't play any games yesterday because I embarrassed myself by failing. So now let's keep this train running. We got 5 games today. I like 5 games. And here's what's even crazier. Vegas is against me in all of them. I'm going with 5 positive juicers today. How about that? That's kind of impressive. All 5 of these games have positive juice. 1 game on the money line. We're going to take the Diamondbacks over the Pirates today. We're going to say their bullpen's going to be a little beat up more than the Diamondbacks bullpen, because I believe Brandon Pfaadt's going to give us a solid 6, maybe even more. So let's take that. Let's go Diamondbacks over the Pirates. And it's a 3-game losing streak, and the Diamondbacks aren't a disaster. Time to start building them up, break the streak. So I got D-backs on the money line. All these other games are on the run line. minus 1.5 for every team. Tampa Bay had an off day yesterday. Texas played at home and then flew to Tampa Bay. When I get a team resting while the other team is playing and traveling, I love taking that all the way. We'll take Tampa Bay minus the 1.5. If the pitching matchup in Reds-Indians game 1 is as listed, I'm taking the Reds minus the 1.5. Reds had a rainout at home against Cleveland yesterday. Game 1 is Slade Ciccone against Chase Burns. I like that matchup for the Reds. So if it stays that, we'll take minus 1.5 for Cincinnati. Mets a winner over the Braves yesterday. Not going to happen twice. Braves are throwing Chris Sale. We'll take Atlanta minus the 1.5. And same thing I told you before about Tampa Bay. We're going for blood money, meaning a team I hate. Dodgers did not play yesterday. Seattle was in Texas. Seattle flew from Texas to LA to take on a resting Dodger team today. That seems like it's going to be pretty easy for us to follow. And, oh, by the way, the Dodgers are throwing Robleski. I have no doubt he's going to handle anything that Seattle throws at him. So we'll take the Dodgers minus the 1.5. Sound credits today. We got the Torey Lovello straight off the broadcast from DBACKS TV. So free plug for them or dbacks.com. And I'll even go so far as to say you can buy streaming at a reduced rate this late. Since I mooched your sound, I give you a free plug. My Cardinals sound: Mike LaFleur, Jacoby Brissett, Nick Rollis, and Trey McBride. I got all of that from the Cardinals YouTube channel. You can also go to azcardinals.com and play all of the pressers. Remember, I listen to the press conferences and pull what I think is something that a hardcore fan would want to know, or something that's teaching me something, or something that I think I can teach you something. So those are the three criteria for me to pull it, if it hits any of those three things. But you might want to hear it for your own and hear what they say. So go to azcardinals.com where I got that sound. That does it for today's version of Doug Franz Unplugged, presented by Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass. Number one, I'm thrilled to get the podcast up so early. These East Coast games make life a little bit easier. Number two, thanks to you. Thanks for coming back today after I failed yesterday. No, I'm not being melodramatic and acting like I'm going to cut my own ear off or something like that. I just mean I have a job to do and I didn't do it. And you can easily say, that's it, but you came back. And that's really what I need from you, and it's really what I appreciate. I think we're going to have a great week tomorrow, reacting to D-backs Pirates and the first padded practice. Thursday, reacting to the first 2026 presser of the football season from Kenny Dillingham, and doing it with Bob McManaman, who's planning on going. So Bobby Mack Thursday. And then we'll have a beer Friday, and I might even go to 100 Mile Brewing Company for lunch tomorrow. If intern McKenna's in, I'm definitely going tomorrow after the ASU presser. So looking forward to that. All right, when's the last time you've been to Slice House, huh? Let's go. It's I'm telling you, you got to try it. I'm a big fan of the Motorhead, is my favorite pizza, but I need to experiment a little bit and try some of the other pizzas. Doug Franz Unplugged is presented by Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass, home of the Whirlwind Plus plan, where you pay the lowest rate that day for any time you choose. So it's the cheapest to go at about 3 o'clock, but you can go at 8 in the morning and pay the 3 o'clock rate. That's a Whirlwind Plus plan. However, it's even better now in the summer because you can go Monday through Thursday and everybody in your group gets Whirlwind Plus. Oh, no. Bell, Santan, Ford, Parker, and Sons, Burrito Express, Penny Roll Promotions, Goodyear, Fit Body, but darn it, Al. Now I got to do it without the music. You know what? I got to have some music. There we go. It was boring music to talk over, but Santan Ford, 202 at Val Vista. I am Santan Ford. Bell's Nashville Kitchen, the original sponsor of Doug Franz Unplugged, home of the Nashville Hot Chicken Sandwich. Parker & Sons, ParkerPaysYourPower.com. Hey, have you done that? ParkerPaysYourPower.com. Fill out ParkerPaysYourPower.com and get somebody a free month of power from Parker & Sons. And mention the Unplugged Army when you do it. Burrito Express, locations all across the east side. Get the green chilies in your breakfast burrito. 100 Mile Brew, home of the best beer in the history of the state of Arizona. A Mountain Amber Ale. I really like the Turkey Club there a lot. Good fish and chips. Penny Royal Promotions, slap a logo on anything. Hey, guess what? Speaking of Penny Royal Promotions, guess what's coming? The Doug Franz Unplugged Apparel Store. Yes, you can go online and buy your own Unplugged Army hoodie. How about that? Goodyear Fit Body Boot Camp, inspiring fitness and changing lives every day. I hope to get there this week, but I know I can't go tomorrow or Wednesday. Today or Wednesday. Maybe we can do that on Thursday. Trophy, home of the greatest rigatoni in the history of all sports bars. Wendy's, home of the Biggie deals, Biggie Bite, Biggie Bag, Biggie Bundle, $4, $6, $8. And Slice House by Tony Gemignani. I really butchered the ending today, Al.
Doug, thank you so much. My best to your listeners, and keep up the work on Doug Franz Unplugged.